What does it really mean to live a good life? Imagine sitting at a small table in a quiet cafe on a rainy afternoon, watching people pass by while you wonder if the moments that fill your day truly add up to a life well lived. It's like trying to capture the perfect flavor in a homemade soup. Every ingredient, joy, sorrow, chance, and choice, blends together in ways you can't fully control, yet each contributes to the overall taste. In many ways, living a good life is a paradox because the very act of pursuing perfection often leads us to overlook the beauty hidden in imperfections. Think about how a gardener tends to a wild patch of flowers. While they might long for the precision of a manicured garden, it's the spontaneous bursts of color from untamed blooms that often bring the most delight. Every decision you make, whether it's choosing to forgive someone, savoring a quiet moment with a friend, or even taking a risk on a new opportunity, contributes to an ever-changing mosaic that resists a single, static definition of good. Yet, despite the clarity with which each moment seems to demand its own distinct place in your heart, when you try to sum it up, you find that the idea of a good life is not a neatly boxed answer but rather a fluid journey. The twist is that while society might push you toward checking off a list of achievements, a secure job, a loving family, financial stability, the real goodness often emerges in the messy interludes between those milestones. For instance, the unexpected kindness of a stranger on a cold day or a heartfelt conversation after a long period of silence can redefine what good means for you. The key takeaway here is that the pursuit of a good life is less about following a prescribed set of rules and more about embracing the dynamic interplay of everyday moments. Much like the unpredictable outcomes of a group decision where every voice, every perspective, ultimately shapes the final picture in surprising ways. How do I know if I am truly happy? Have you ever been caught in a quiet moment, maybe during a slow evening drive or while folding laundry, when a sudden thought makes you pause and ask, "Am I really happy?" It's a question that strikes unexpectedly, like noticing the last golden ray of sunshine before dusk fades away. Happiness, in its purest form, often resembles the unpredictable weather. One day you might feel the warmth of a clear sky and the next, the gentle melancholy of soft, drifting clouds. In this paradox, the pursuit of happiness can be as elusive as catching a firefly in the dark, its glow flickering in bursts that vanish the moment you try to bottle it. Consider a simple scene. A family gathering around a modest dinner table, sharing stories and laughter, where every smile, even the quiet ones, contributes to a warmth that is both fleeting and profound. Yet, just as the weather shifts, so do our emotions, making it hard to pin down happiness as a constant state. The everyday example is like the routine act of brewing a perfect cup of tea. Sometimes it's soothing and uplifting, while other times it's just an ordinary moment in the day. The real twist lies in recognizing that happiness isn't about a permanent state of bliss, but rather a collection of small, authentic moments that punctuate our days. Much like a group vote where each individual's honest input might not win on its own but collectively leads to a decision that reflects the shared sentiment. In the end, the lesson is clear. True happiness comes from acknowledging and cherishing these small moments, and in doing so, you learn that the art of feeling content is woven into the fabric of everyday life. Is there a universal purpose for all human beings? Picture yourself in the midst of a busy train station, where every traveler carries a unique destination in their heart, yet you can't help but wonder if there's a common reason behind all these journeys. The paradox here is that while each individual sets out with distinct dreams and goals, there's an almost invisible thread connecting every life. A search for meaning that defies a simple, one-size-fits-all answer. Imagine a quilt stitched together from countless patches, each patch representing a different life story. Even though no two patches are the same, they all contribute to a larger, comforting whole. On a typical day, you might observe neighbors greeting each other warmly, strangers offering a smile in passing, or a group of friends sharing laughter over coffee, all hinting at a deeper, shared human connection that transcends individual pursuits. Yet, the more you search for a single, universal purpose, The more you realize that purpose might be as varied as the colors in a sunset, each hue distinct yet part of an inseparable whole. The paradox lies in the tension between the desire for a singular, overarching goal and the reality that meaning is often created through the very diversity of our experiences, choices, and relationships. It's like trying to pick one favorite note in a beautiful symphony. Each note is essential, and no single tone can capture the full essence of the music. In everyday decisions, this means that while group choices might sometimes seem chaotic or even contradictory, they are the result of many individual purposes interweaving to form a collective narrative. Ultimately, understanding that there isn't one universal purpose but rather a tapestry of individual meanings helps us appreciate the rich complexity of life and reminds us that every person's journey adds a valuable thread to the fabric of our shared human experience. Do our lives have meaning beyond what we create for ourselves? Imagine walking through a quiet park on an early morning stroll, feeling the cool dew on the grass and wondering if there's something inherently valuable about your existence beyond the goals and plans you've set. This question is like a soft echo in an empty corridor. It's both intimate and expansive, inviting you to look beyond the visible markers of success. Think of your life as a blank canvas that you continuously paint on with every thought, choice, and encounter. While you might be tempted to measure your worth solely by the masterpieces you create, the big moments and grand achievements, there is a quiet, underlying truth that meaning is also found in the small brushstrokes of everyday existence. For example, the simple act of greeting a neighbor, caring for a pet, or even pausing to enjoy a sunset can carry a significance that isn't dictated by external standards but by your personal experience of life's beauty. The paradox is that while many of us are raised to believe that meaning is something to be discovered outside ourselves, a secret handed down by fate or society, the reality is that meaning is something you build with each passing moment. It's a bit like putting together a puzzle where every piece, no matter how mundane, contributes to the complete picture. In this light, group decisions or collective actions become less about following a rigid path and more about embracing the diverse ways in which meaning emerges from everyday interactions. The essential takeaway is that recognizing the self-made nature of meaning empowers you to see every small moment as a chance to enrich your life, ultimately affirming that our personal contributions weave together to form the broader tapestry of human experience. How do I distinguish between what I want and what I need? One lazy Sunday morning, as you debate whether to treat yourself to an extra slice of cake or save that energy for a busy week ahead, you might feel that inner tug-of-war between desire and necessity. It's like standing in front of a refrigerator stocked with tempting treats and healthy staples, unsure which to grab, knowing that while both have their appeal, they serve very different roles in your well-being. This everyday dilemma is a paradox because what you want in a fleeting moment can often conflict with what you genuinely need for long-term satisfaction. Consider the scenario of a friend who splurges on an expensive gadget for a quick thrill but later finds that the rush fades, leaving a gap that only thoughtful, consistent investments in health and relationships can fill. The tension here arises from the pull of immediate gratification versus the slow, steady nourishment of your true necessities, much like a garden that needs both spontaneous bursts of color from wildflowers and careful tending to ensure that its roots are strong and enduring. When you see this in everyday life, say, choosing between a fun night out and a quiet evening recharging for tomorrow, you're experiencing the same paradox that challenges simple decision-making in group settings, where individual desires can sometimes clash with collective needs. Ultimately, the key insight is that understanding the difference between want and need is crucial for balancing short-term pleasure with long-term growth, reminding you that a well-tended life is one where each decision, however small, contributes to a healthier, more sustainable future. How has my past shaped who I am today? Picture yourself rifling through an old photo album on a quiet afternoon, each faded snapshot stirring memories that seem both distant and intimately familiar, as if every experience has left a subtle fingerprint on your soul. The paradox here is that while you may wish to see yourself as a fresh start, free from the shadows of past mistakes and triumphs, every moment you've lived continues to influence the person you are now. It's like walking down a long, winding road where each step, whether taken in joy or pain, has quietly laid the foundation for today's choices. Consider a situation where a setback at work once felt devastating but, over time, built a resilience that now propels you forward during challenging times. The interplay between past experiences and present identity can feel contradictory. You want to move on from old scars, yet those very marks often become the source of your strength and wisdom. In everyday interactions, like the comfort of a familiar song or the unexpected advice from an old friend, you encounter echoes of your former self that guide you without dictating your future. Much like a group making decisions where past successes and failures influence future strategies, your personal history is woven into every decision you make now. The essential lesson is that acknowledging the lasting impact of your past, while not allowing it to define you entirely, is a powerful tool for personal growth, reminding you that every experience, no matter how painful or fleeting, contributes to the rich tapestry of who you are. Could my future be entirely different if I changed one decision now? Imagine standing at a busy intersection on a crisp autumn morning, where every crosswalk represents a choice that could steer your life in a completely new direction, as if one small step could rewrite your entire story. This paradox challenges the idea that our future is set in stone by our past and present actions. Instead, it suggests that even a seemingly minor decision can create ripples that alter the course of everything that follows. Picture a scenario where someone, on a whim, decides to take a different route home and unexpectedly discovers a charming bookstore that eventually sparks a lifelong passion for reading. In this way, a single decision, small in the moment, can open doors to opportunities you never even imagined existed. Much like in group voting where one swing vote can tip the balance and change the outcome of an entire election. The beauty and frustration of this paradox lie in its unpredictability. You never quite know which choices will have monumental impacts and which will fade into the background of your memory. Everyday life is full of these moments, from a casual conversation that leads to a new friendship to a sudden decision to try a new hobby that later transforms your career path. The key takeaway is that acknowledging the potential power of even the smallest decisions can encourage you to approach each moment with mindful curiosity, realizing that every choice is a chance to shape a future that is as dynamic and surprising as a well-run group decision, where every voice matters and every choice can be a catalyst for change. How much of my life is guided by free will, and how much is predestined? One chilly evening as you wrap yourself in a favorite blanket and ponder whether your life's twists are truly the result of your choices or the unseen hands of fate, you encounter a paradox that challenges the very notion of control. It's like driving a car on a winding road where you steer confidently through some bends, yet unexpected gusts of wind force you to adjust, leaving you to wonder how much of the journey is under your command. In everyday life, you may notice that even the best-laid plans sometimes unravel due to circumstances beyond your control. A sudden change in weather spoiling a picnic or an unplanned phone call altering your day's course. These moments mirror the tension between free will and destiny, where every decision you make is intermingled with forces that seem to nudge you in directions you never anticipated. Much like a group decision that's influenced by both individual votes and unforeseen external events. The twist is that this blend of choice and chance doesn't diminish your power but enriches your experience, reminding you that sometimes surrendering a bit of control can lead to unexpected blessings. The key takeaway here is that while you might strive for absolute control over your life, embracing the balance between free will and fate can open up a world of possibilities, encouraging you to be both an active decision maker and a receptive participant in life's unfolding drama. What does it mean to be fully present in each moment? Imagine sitting on a park bench during a lively afternoon, where the chatter of passers-by, the rustle of leaves, and the distant hum of traffic all blend into a background score that you often tune out, leaving you wondering if you're really there. This paradox speaks to the challenge of living fully in the present amid a constant stream of distractions that pull your attention in every direction. It's like trying to listen to your favorite song while a radio plays in the background. You know the melody is beautiful, yet the interference makes it hard to catch every note. In everyday situations, You might find yourself distracted by your phone during a meal or lost in thought while spending time with loved ones, missing the subtle joys unfolding around you. The twist here is that true presence doesn't mean blocking out all distractions, but rather learning to gently guide your focus back to what matters most. Like a group discussion where every participant has to refocus when the conversation drifts off course. Recognizing this can transform ordinary experiences into moments of genuine connection and clarity. The takeaway is that being fully present allows you to savor the richness of each experience, reminding you that in both individual moments and group decisions, genuine engagement is what ultimately creates lasting meaning. How do I stay true to myself when outside forces pressure me to change? Picture a moment during a long day at work when you notice everyone around you is following the latest trend, yet deep down you feel the pull to do something different. A quiet urge to honor your own style and values despite the external clamor. This paradox challenges the notion that conformity is the easiest route, as the pressure to blend in often conflicts with the desire to maintain an authentic sense of self. It's like wearing a favorite old jacket in a crowd where everyone is sporting the latest fashion. Even though the jacket might seem out of place, it holds memories and a comfort that modern trends can't replace. In everyday life, you might face situations where group decisions or popular opinions seem to dictate the norm, leaving you to question whether to follow the flow or stand your ground. The tension here arises from the dual need to belong while also preserving the unique spark that defines you, similar to a team vote where one dissenting voice might initially seem out of step, but ultimately brings a fresh perspective to the decision-making process. The key takeaway is that holding true to your inner voice is not an act of rebellion but a necessary step towards genuine fulfillment. It reminds you that while external pressures are inevitable, the courage to remain authentic enriches both your personal journey and collective endeavors, ensuring that every decision reflects who you truly are. Why do people often fear change and the unknown? Sometimes, stepping into change feels like leaving a warm, familiar room for a pitch-black hallway where every sound is amplified, and uncertainty lurks in every shadow. Many of us have experienced that jolt of anxiety when plans suddenly shift or when we must face an unfamiliar path, like hesitating before boarding a bus to a destination we've never visited. This fear isn't about the change itself, but about the loss of the comfort found in routines and the predictability of known outcomes. It's as if our minds have built safe little islands out of routine, and the idea of leaving them feels like risking a plunge into turbulent waters. Imagine a family dinner where everyone is used to the same menu every week. Introducing a new dish might seem exciting to some but unnerving to others who worry it could disrupt the familiar rhythm. In everyday life, this hesitance can show up in small decisions like trying a new restaurant or taking on a different project at work, where the unknown triggers a natural fight-or-flight response. Yet, while this fear can hold us back, it also signals that we value stability and security, even as it pushes us toward growth if we learn to trust that change often brings new opportunities. The tension lies in the paradox that the very thing we fear might be the catalyst for progress, offering fresh perspectives and unexpected joys that were hidden behind the veil of the unknown. Ultimately, understanding this fear helps us navigate both personal and collective choices more wisely, reminding us that embracing change, even in group settings, can lead to breakthroughs that redefine our shared future. Who or what am I beyond my thoughts and emotions? Have you ever paused after a heated argument or a moment of deep sadness and wondered if there's something more real about you than just your swirling thoughts and moods? It's like standing in front of a mirror that reflects not just your face but also a shadow of the feelings and ideas racing inside you. When we ask this question, we're trying to peel away the layers of daily stress, opinions, and fleeting emotions to uncover a more stable core, something constant that exists even when our feelings shift like clouds. Consider how, on a long, tiring day, you might feel overwhelmed by anger or joy, yet there's a part of you that remains quietly observant, unaffected by the chaos. In everyday situations, this might be the calm moment you experience when you take a deep breath after a stressful meeting or the sudden clarity you feel during a quiet walk in nature. This paradox challenges us to realize that while our thoughts and emotions color our experiences, they don't wholly define who we are. There's a deeper sense of self that endures even when the world outside is in flux. It's like the difference between the changing weather and the constant earth beneath our feet. The surface may be unpredictable, but the ground remains steady. Recognizing this can help us make better collective decisions by reminding us that beneath our varied opinions and emotions, there's a shared, unchanging human essence that can guide us toward unity and understanding. In short, grasping this deeper identity is key to not only personal growth but also to fostering more empathetic and resilient group decisions. In what ways have I grown from my biggest failures? Have you ever looked back at a time when everything went wrong and wondered if that painful moment was secretly a turning point in your life? It's like discovering that the storm you once feared had the power to clear the air, revealing a landscape more vibrant and resilient than before. Our biggest failures can feel crushing in the moment, yet they often plant the seeds of growth, pushing us to learn and reinvent ourselves in ways that success rarely does. Picture a student who fails an important exam, only to later develop better study habits and discover a passion for learning that transforms their academic path. In everyday life, failures might appear as missed opportunities or stumbles in our career or relationships, yet they also serve as critical feedback, urging us to rethink our approach and build strength from our vulnerabilities. The paradox here is that what initially seems like a setback can become the foundation for future achievements, much like a cracked pot that, when mended, holds water more beautifully than before. The process of recovering from failure teaches us humility, perseverance, and the importance of self-compassion. It reminds us that every mistake has value, offering insights that propel us forward and enabling us to make wiser choices in the future. When we come together in groups, understanding that each failure contributes to collective wisdom can lead to more robust decisions and foster an environment where risks are seen as opportunities for growth rather than just potential pitfalls. In essence, recognizing the growth hidden in our failures transforms our approach to life and group decisions alike, reminding us that every setback carries the promise of a brighter, more informed tomorrow. How do I define success for myself? Have you ever sat alone in a quiet moment, questioning whether the traditional markers of success, wealth, status, or accolades truly resonate with your inner sense of fulfillment, or if success is something much more personal and fluid? Imagine success as a garden you cultivate over time. While some may plant neat rows of roses following a set formula, you might find that wild, unexpected blooms speak more to your heart. Defining success for yourself means peeling away societal expectations and discovering what genuinely makes you feel accomplished, whether that's nurturing a meaningful relationship, mastering a creative hobby, or simply finding peace in the everyday hustle. In everyday life, you might witness a colleague who seemingly succeeds by climbing the corporate ladder, yet secretly battles inner dissatisfaction, while another person, perhaps an artist or a caregiver, finds deep satisfaction in pursuits that defy conventional measures of achievement. The paradox here is that success, when defined by external standards, can feel empty or unsustainable, whereas personal success often emerges from a blend of small victories, resilience, and authenticity. It's like comparing a mass-produced meal to one prepared with love and care. The latter nourishes the soul in ways that no external accolade ever can. This understanding helps us appreciate that when we come together to make group decisions or vote on community priorities, the diversity in our definitions of success can enrich the collective outcome, ensuring that multiple paths to fulfillment are recognized. Ultimately, by defining success on your own terms, you not only create a more authentic life but also contribute to a more nuanced and inclusive vision of progress in any group setting. Do I find more fulfillment in giving or receiving? Have you ever paused during a busy day and wondered whether the true source of your happiness lies more in the act of giving than in receiving, or vice versa, as if your heart had a secret scale balancing these two forces? Imagine it like preparing a meal. Sometimes the joy comes from sharing a home-cooked dish with loved ones, while at other times, it's the pleasure of savoring a thoughtfully prepared meal by someone else that fills you with gratitude. This question invites you to explore the interplay between generosity and acceptance in your own life. In everyday experiences, You might recall a time when offering help to a friend not only brightened their day but left you with a lingering sense of warmth, or a moment when receiving a kind gesture unexpectedly lifted your spirits during a challenging day. The paradox lies in the fact that both giving and receiving have their own unique rewards and challenges. While giving can create a deep sense of connection and purpose, it may also leave you feeling exposed or vulnerable if not reciprocated. On the other hand, receiving can feel like a safe acknowledgement of your worth, yet it sometimes brings along feelings of indebtedness or guilt. The beauty of this balancing act is that true fulfillment often emerges when you allow both energies to flow freely, understanding that they are not mutually exclusive but rather complementary aspects of a rich, interconnected life. Recognizing this balance can also shed light on group decisions and voting, where the interplay of individual contributions and collective support shapes outcomes that reflect both the generosity and the needs of the community. In short, figuring out where your fulfillment lies, between giving and receiving, can guide you to a more balanced, compassionate life, and help create group dynamics that honor the strength of both contributions. How do I know if I'm making the right choices in life? Have you ever stood at a crossroads, feeling the weight of countless possibilities, and asked yourself whether the path you're taking is the right one, as if every decision were a delicate thread in the tapestry of your life? It's like trying to pick the ripest fruit from a basket without knowing which will nourish you best in the long run. In our everyday lives, we often rely on gut feelings, advice from trusted friends, or even a moment of quiet reflection to steer us through complex choices, whether it's changing careers, moving to a new city, or even deciding what to have for dinner. The paradox here is that while each choice is made with the best intentions and available knowledge, the outcomes are inherently unpredictable, and the right decision might only reveal itself in hindsight. Consider a time when you made a choice that felt uncertain at first, only to later discover that it opened up new opportunities you never imagined. Conversely, sometimes a seemingly obvious decision might lead to unexpected challenges. This uncertainty is not a sign of weakness but a natural part of the human experience, reflecting the dynamic interplay between risk and reward. In group settings, such as voting or team decisions, this same unpredictability can lead to a diverse range of outcomes, each influenced by the unique perspectives and information each person brings to the table. The key takeaway is that knowing you're making the right choices isn't about having all the answers in advance. It's about learning to trust your judgment, adapt when necessary, and see each decision as a valuable step in your ongoing journey. Ultimately, embracing this uncertainty empowers you to make choices that are both thoughtful and bold, enriching not only your life but also the collective decision-making process in your community. What role does fear play in shaping my life's path? Have you ever felt paralyzed at the edge of a decision, as if an invisible force were holding you back from taking a leap, and wondered whether fear is the architect of your choices rather than just an obstacle? It's like standing at the base of a steep hill, knowing that the climb might be tough but also that the view from the top could change everything. Yet fear whispers that the risk isn't worth the effort. In everyday life, fear often creeps in when we're about to try something new, such as starting a project at work or even opening up about our feelings to someone important. This emotion, while uncomfortable, can serve as both a warning and a motivator. It alerts us to potential dangers while also pushing us to prepare better and sometimes even adapt in creative ways. Picture a scenario where a friend hesitates to apply for a dream job because the possibility of failure seems daunting, yet later realizes that confronting that fear was the catalyst for personal growth and unexpected success. The paradox is that while fear can limit us, it can also sharpen our senses and encourage us to build resilience by facing challenges head-on. In group decisions, this same dynamic appears when the collective fear of change or the unknown sways the outcome, often leading to cautious choices that might stifle innovation. Recognizing fear's dual role, both as a barrier and a guide, empowers you to channel it constructively, using it as a signal to prepare more thoroughly rather than as a reason to retreat. The key takeaway here is that understanding the role of fear in shaping your path allows you to navigate life's challenges with greater insight and courage. ultimately influencing group decisions by fostering a balance between prudence and progress. Is forgiveness more for me or the person I forgive? Have you ever found yourself locked in an inner debate after a painful disagreement, wondering if forgiving someone is truly about letting them off the hook or about freeing yourself from a heavy burden, much like deciding whether to unburden your backpack on a long hike? When you forgive, it often feels like you're setting down a load that has weighed you down for far too long, even if the other person hasn't changed at all. In everyday life, forgiveness might arise when a friend hurts your feelings or when a family member disappoints you, and the process of letting go of resentment becomes less about absolving their actions and more about reclaiming your own peace. The paradox here is that while forgiveness is typically seen as a generous gift to the wrongdoer, it also transforms you, clearing away the emotional clutter that can obscure your ability to move forward. Imagine a scenario where someone holds onto anger for years, only to eventually find that forgiving not only lightens their emotional load but also opens up space for renewed trust and understanding. In group settings, such as during community votes or team decisions, the willingness to forgive can bridge divides, encouraging more compassionate and collaborative outcomes. The ultimate lesson is that forgiveness serves both as a healing balm for you and a potential invitation for growth in others, even if that growth is slow. Recognizing that forgiveness is as much about self-liberation as it is about reconciliation can change how you approach conflicts, turning what might seem like a personal sacrifice into a powerful tool for building a more united, resilient community. In essence, understanding this dual benefit of forgiveness enriches both your individual journey and the collective spirit of any group decision-making process. Could life's challenges be pointing me toward a deeper lesson? Have you ever stared at a series of setbacks, a failed project, a difficult breakup, or a sudden loss, and wondered if these hardships were secretly nudging you toward an unexpected wisdom, like signposts on a winding road pointing toward a hidden destination? It can feel as though every challenge, no matter how harsh, carries with it a subtle message meant only for you, inviting you to learn, and ultimately grow stronger. In everyday life, this might show up as a series of small failures that, when viewed in hindsight, reveal patterns of resilience or creativity you never knew you possessed. Picture someone who repeatedly stumbles at work only to develop a new strategy that leads to remarkable innovation, or a person who endures a personal heartbreak and later discovers an inner strength that transforms their outlook on relationships. The paradox lies in the notion that the very obstacles we try to avoid might be the catalysts for our most profound personal development. It's like a rough-hewn piece of wood that, through persistent carving, eventually becomes a cherished piece of art. In group decisions, this idea plays out when communities come together after a setback, learning from the experience and creating more robust systems for the future. The key takeaway is that challenges, as painful as they can be, often hide valuable lessons that enrich our understanding of ourselves and our world. Recognizing that every hardship carries a potential insight transforms the way you approach life's inevitable difficulties and fosters a collective mindset in group decisions where each setback is seen as a stepping stone toward a more enlightened future. What does it mean to leave a legacy behind? Have you ever sat quietly at the end of a long day and wondered if your actions, big or small, will echo beyond your own lifetime, much like planting a tree under whose shade you do not expect to sit? This question challenges you to think about the lasting impact of your life, whether it's the kindness you share, the ideas you nurture, or the changes you help create in your community. In everyday life, leaving a legacy isn't reserved solely for the famous or wealthy. It can be as simple as a teacher inspiring a student, a friend offering unwavering support, or a neighbor lending a hand when it's most needed. The paradox is that while the concept of legacy often conjures images of grand monuments or sweeping historical achievements, the most meaningful legacies are built from consistent, everyday acts of care and responsibility. Imagine a local community coming together to build a park that will serve generations, a legacy not measured in millions of dollars, but in the smiles of children and the memories of shared laughter. In group decisions, whether in local councils or voting processes, the collective legacy often emerges from the sum of individual contributions, each one adding a unique layer to the story of a community. The essential lesson is that your legacy is not a distant goal but a living, evolving expression of who you are, built every day through your choices and actions. Ultimately, recognizing the importance of leaving a legacy inspires you to act with intention and compassion, ensuring that your mark on the world and on group decisions that shape our shared future is both lasting and meaningful. When do my desires help me, and when do they hold me back? Imagine waking up on a bright morning with a strong urge to chase after every exciting opportunity, only to later realize that some impulses, while thrilling, can steer you off course. In our everyday lives, desires can be like the fuel in your car, vital for moving forward, but, if not carefully regulated, capable of driving you into unexpected detours. You might feel that surge of ambition when planning a spontaneous trip or launching a new project, but later discover that the unplanned adventure left little time to address more pressing responsibilities. This tension between what you long for and what you really need is a paradox that lies at the heart of many decisions, both personal and in groups. Picture a team planning a community event where members passionately push for extravagant ideas that promise excitement. However, when the rubber meets the road, those same desires can overwhelm the logistics and lead to disappointment. On a personal level, a similar dynamic unfolds when the excitement of an impulsive purchase gives way to the regret of overspending, or when the allure of a radical change leaves you unprepared for the consequences. The paradox is that our desires, while a powerful source of energy and inspiration, can sometimes hold us back if they cloud our judgment or distract us from steady progress. Recognizing this interplay means learning when to harness those impulses as creative catalysts and when to rein them in with reason and reflection. In simple terms, it's like managing a garden. The wild, untamed growth might add beauty, but without pruning, it can overrun the space and choke out the carefully planted flowers. The takeaway here is that understanding the dual role of your desires helps you balance boldness with prudence, ensuring that your energy propels you forward rather than leads to unnecessary detours. In group decisions, this balance is equally critical, as a collective burst of enthusiasm might spark innovative ideas but also risk derailing consensus if not tempered by thoughtful planning. Ultimately, learning to distinguish between desires that empower and those that hinder is essential for both personal growth and the smooth functioning of any collaborative effort. Do I see myself as separate from others, or deeply connected? Stepping away from the daily hustle, you might find yourself questioning whether you're just another isolated island in a vast sea or part of a dynamic archipelago where every piece is linked by unseen bonds. In our everyday experiences, this question of connection versus isolation often surfaces in subtle ways, perhaps when you share a laugh with a friend, or when you feel a pang of loneliness even in a crowded room. The paradox lies in the way society teaches us to celebrate individual achievements while sometimes overlooking the inherent connections that bind us together. Think about a group project at work. Even though each team member contributes uniquely, the success of the project depends on the interplay of their diverse skills and mutual support. Similarly, when you consider your own life, you might notice that moments of joy often come not from solitary accomplishments but from shared experiences, a heartfelt conversation, a community celebration, or even a spontaneous gesture of kindness that reminds you you're not alone. At other times, the desire to stand apart and assert your individuality can feel just as strong, leading to a tension between independence and connection. It's like savoring a meal alone versus dining with family. Each has its own flavor and purpose, yet one without the other can leave a void. The paradox is that while we often pride ourselves on being self-reliant, our deepest fulfillment frequently comes from recognizing and nurturing the ties that bind us to others. In everyday decisions, this balance influences how we vote or make group choices, whether we lean towards policies that emphasize individual rights or those that foster communal well-being. The key takeaway is that acknowledging both your uniqueness and your interconnectedness can enrich your life and enhance collective decision-making, ensuring that every voice is heard while building a supportive, resilient community. What does freedom look like in my day-to-day life? Picture the feeling of stepping outside on a crisp morning when the air feels fresh and every decision, from what to wear to which route to take, is yours alone. A subtle reminder of personal liberty woven into routine moments. Freedom in daily life isn't just about grand declarations or monumental choices. It's found in the quiet, unremarkable moments where you decide your next step without external compulsion. Imagine flipping through your morning playlist and choosing the song that best fits your mood, or savoring a cup of coffee at your favorite cafe without any obligation or rush. Yet, even as these simple choices bring a sense of autonomy, there's an underlying paradox. The very freedom you cherish is often interlaced with invisible constraints like social expectations, financial limitations, or the habitual routines you follow. For example, consider someone who dreams of starting a new hobby but hesitates because of the fear of judgment or failure. The freedom to choose is there, but it's tempered by self-doubt and external pressures. In group settings, such as community voting or team projects, the ideal of freedom can sometimes clash with the need for consensus, where individual preferences must yield to the collective good. This balance is much like enjoying a vast open field while still recognizing the need to follow certain paths to avoid getting lost. The everyday manifestation of this paradox is evident in choices as small as deciding what to cook for dinner versus the recipes you feel pressured to follow because they're popular or expected. The essential insight here is that true freedom is not the absence of restrictions but the ability to navigate them in a way that honors your personal values and desires. Recognizing this duality in your everyday life can empower you to make decisions that reflect both individual autonomy and a sense of shared responsibility, an understanding that is crucial when shaping group decisions where every individual's freedom contributes to a richer, more diverse outcome. How do I find balance between ambition and contentment? Imagine a moment when you're gazing out at a bustling city skyline, where the drive to reach new heights coexists with the quiet comfort of familiar streets, prompting you to ask how you can stretch for your dreams without losing the warmth of what you already have. Balancing ambition and contentment is like walking a tightrope between striving for more and appreciating the present moment. Each step requires careful focus and a steady heart. On one hand, ambition fuels your desire to achieve, pushing you to set goals, take risks, and reach beyond your comfort zone. On the other, contentment reminds you to value your current blessings, whether it's a loving family, a satisfying job, or simply a quiet evening with a good book. Picture a young professional climbing the corporate ladder who occasionally pauses to savor the small victories along the way. A kind word from a colleague, a quiet lunch break in a sunlit park, each moment offering a sense of fulfillment that isn't measured by the next promotion. The paradox is that while ambition often appears to be the engine that drives progress, it can also create a perpetual sense of dissatisfaction if you're always chasing what's next without pausing to appreciate how far you've come. In everyday life, this tug-of-war might show up as an internal debate when you're faced with a new opportunity that promises growth but also risks disrupting a content equilibrium. Group decisions echo this balance. A community may push for bold changes while cherishing traditions that bring comfort and identity. The key takeaway is that finding equilibrium between ambition and contentment means learning to celebrate your achievements while staying open to future possibilities, ensuring that your journey is both forward-moving and deeply satisfying. This understanding enriches individual life choices and helps shape group decisions by encouraging a culture where progress and appreciation work hand in hand. Do I live more in my memories, or in anticipation of the future? Imagine spending an afternoon flipping through an old photo album, each image stirring a flood of memories that warm your heart, while at the same time, your mind races with plans and dreams for what lies ahead, forcing you to wonder where your true focus lies. The paradox of living in memory versus living in anticipation is like having two radios tuned to different stations, each playing its own version of life's soundtrack. On one side, your cherished memories provide comfort and a sense of identity, grounding you in the experiences that have shaped who you are. On the other, the excitement of future possibilities propels you forward, fueling your ambitions and hopes. Consider a scenario where someone reminisces about childhood adventures, finding solace in the familiar past, yet feels a spark of energy when imagining new journeys, relationships, or career milestones. This balancing act is present in everyday decisions. You might pause to enjoy a quiet evening recalling old stories, even as you plan a bold move like a career change or a new travel adventure. In group settings, this tension often emerges during debates about preserving traditions versus embracing innovation. It's as if a community must decide whether to honor its historical roots or to eagerly embrace change. The challenge is to integrate both perspectives, honoring the lessons and emotions of the past while remaining open to the uncertain promise of the future. The insight here is that neither memories nor anticipation alone can define a full life. Rather, true richness comes from weaving together the warmth of what has been and the excitement of what might be. Recognizing this balance not only helps you lead a more fulfilling life but also informs group decisions by fostering a dialogue that values both heritage and progress, ensuring that collective choices reflect a thoughtful blend of respect for the past and optimism for the future. What is the significance of my most cherished relationships? Picture yourself on a quiet evening, surrounded by the gentle glow of familiar faces, family, friends, or a mentor, each interaction leaving an imprint on your heart and prompting you to consider how these connections shape who you are. The significance of cherished relationships is like a well-tended garden where every flower and tree represents a person who has touched your life, offering support and shared experiences. In everyday life, these relationships often serve as both anchors and springboards, grounding you during tough times while encouraging growth and new adventures when opportunities arise. Think about that friend who always listens, a family member who offers unconditional love, or a coworker whose wisdom guides you through a challenging project. Each of these bonds contributes to a network of care and understanding that enriches your day-to-day existence. The paradox lies in the way these relationships can be both a source of comfort and a trigger for personal change, sometimes challenging you to step outside your comfort zone or see the world through a different lens. In group decision-making, the value of these connections becomes evident when shared trust and mutual respect lead to decisions that benefit not just individuals, but the entire community. Whether it's through collaborative projects or simply sharing life's highs and lows, cherished relationships remind us that our strength often comes from those around us. The key takeaway is that the true significance of these bonds is found not only in the support they offer but also in the collective wisdom they generate, enriching both personal lives and group choices. Embracing this understanding helps you nurture relationships that not only sustain you but also contribute to a more compassionate and interconnected community. How can I honor my own needs while still caring for others? Imagine a moment when you're juggling the demands of a busy day, perhaps preparing dinner, checking emails, and spending time with loved ones, while silently reminding yourself that your well-being is just as important as everyone else's. This question is like trying to balance on a seesaw, where your personal needs and the needs of others must find a harmony to keep both sides stable. In everyday life, you may find yourself constantly putting others first, whether it's at work or in family settings, only to realize that neglecting your own health and happiness can leave you feeling depleted and resentful. Picture a parent who always sacrifices their own rest to care for the children, or a friend who listens tirelessly to others' problems while rarely taking time for self-care. The paradox is that while caring for others brings fulfillment, it becomes unsustainable if your own needs aren't met. The challenge is to recognize that self-care isn't selfish. It's essential for building the strength and resilience needed to support those around you. Much like a battery that must be recharged to function properly, you need to replenish your own energy through small acts of kindness to yourself, be it a quiet moment with a cup of tea, a walk in the park, or simply saying no when you're stretched too thin. In group decision-making, this balance becomes crucial when individual contributions are needed, but burnout threatens to undermine the collective effort. The insight here is that honoring your own needs while caring for others creates a sustainable dynamic where both personal and communal well-being are nurtured. Ultimately, finding that balance ensures that you're not only available to help others but also able to thrive, enriching your life and the lives of those around you with genuine, well-rounded care. Do I believe everything happens for a reason, or is life random? Imagine sitting quietly by a window on a drizzly day, watching raindrops race each other down the glass, and wondering whether there's a hidden design behind each drop's journey or if it's all just chance at work. This age-old question cuts to the heart of how we make sense of life's twists and turns, whether every event, big or small, is part of a grand plan or simply the product of random occurrences. In everyday life, you might reflect on moments that seem too coincidental to ignore, like meeting someone who changes your life just when you need help the most, or the way a string of challenges might eventually lead to unexpected opportunities. The paradox is that while many people cling to the comforting idea that everything happens for a reason, offering solace during hard times, others find freedom in embracing life's unpredictability without searching for hidden meanings. Consider a community coming together after a natural disaster. Some see it as a test of collective resilience and purpose, while others view it as a stark reminder of life's inherent randomness. This tension influences how you make decisions, whether it's choosing to take a leap of faith in a new venture or deciding to stick with the familiar. The insight is that neither extreme, strict determinism nor absolute randomness fully captures the complexity of life. In group decisions, this balance can shape how risks are evaluated and how hopeful or cautious a collective approach might be. In short, the question of fate versus chance is important because it underlines the way you navigate both personal and shared challenges, reminding you that finding meaning in life is as much about your perspective as it is about the events themselves. What is the nature of consciousness, and can it be fully understood? Picture yourself in a quiet room late at night, your mind quietly buzzing with thoughts that seem to have no clear beginning or end, prompting you to wonder if the mystery of consciousness is something that can ever be fully grasped. This question is like staring into a mirror that reflects not only your physical appearance but also the complex inner workings of your mind, an ever-changing landscape of memories, emotions, and fleeting ideas. In everyday life, you might experience moments where your thoughts drift effortlessly between the past, present, and future, as if your consciousness were a gentle river carrying you along, unpredictable yet deeply personal. The paradox here is that while we experience consciousness in every waking moment, its true nature remains elusive, defying simple explanations or scientific formulas. Consider how conversations with friends sometimes open up new insights about your inner self, yet also reveal how little you really know about the mysterious engine driving your perceptions and decisions. In group settings, this complexity influences how decisions are made, as every individual's unique awareness and perspective shapes the collective outcome in unexpected ways. The challenge lies in reconciling the idea that something so deeply personal and vivid can also be so hard to pin down with absolute certainty. The key takeaway is that while complete understanding of consciousness may be beyond our reach, appreciating its depth and diversity can enhance how you navigate your own life and contribute to group decisions, reminding you that each person's unique inner world adds valuable insight to any shared experience. If I could learn just one great truth, what would I want it to be? Imagine sitting in your favorite quiet corner, a warm cup of tea in hand, pondering which single truth could illuminate every dark corner of your life. A truth so profound that it would reshape how you see the world. This question invites you to distill all your experiences and dreams into one guiding insight, a beacon that might help you make sense of both your personal journey and the often chaotic tapestry of group decisions. In everyday moments, you might find hints of such truths in the simple acts of kindness between strangers, in the resilience you witness during tough times, or in the gentle wisdom of a loved one's advice. The paradox is that while life offers countless lessons, choosing just one to define your path feels both liberating and incredibly challenging. It's as if you're trying to select a single star in a sky full of them, knowing that while each twinkles with its own story, only one can guide your way in the darkest hours. In personal decisions and in collective choices, such as voting or planning community events, this quest for one great truth can become a source of inspiration, a common thread that unites diverse voices and perspectives. The idea is that a truth, when embraced, can cut through confusion and conflict, providing clarity and direction even when individual opinions differ. The key takeaway is that while you may never settle on one absolute truth, the process of seeking it enriches your life, encouraging a more thoughtful, united approach to decision-making. In both personal growth and group settings, this search reminds you that the pursuit of wisdom, even in its simplest form, is a powerful tool for creating meaning and fostering connection among diverse minds. Am I more guided by logic or by emotion? Sometimes when I look back on the decisions I've made throughout the day, I question whether my choices stem from a careful weighing of pros and cons or from the pull of my heart. Reflecting on a recent conversation with a friend or even the way I chose a meal at lunch, I notice a subtle tug-of-war between what makes sense and what feels right. This inner debate is much like trying to balance a scale that tips unevenly with every impulse and every measured thought. On one hand, there are moments when I meticulously plan every detail of a project, relying on data and clear reasoning, and on the other, times when a sudden burst of passion or an unexpected gut feeling leads me to take a risk that logic might have advised against. Everyday examples abound. A coworker might decide to stick with a tried and tested method because it's proven, while another might leap into an innovative idea driven solely by intuition, both achieving success in their own way. The paradox here is that neither pure logic nor raw emotion holds all the answers on its own. Rather, the beauty lies in how they interact to shape our lives. Group decisions also reveal this interplay when a team debates whether to follow a standard procedure or to experiment with a new strategy. The ultimate insight is that while emotions provide the spark of creativity and passion, logic serves as the steady hand that guides us safely through the consequences. Balancing these two aspects can be challenging, yet it often results in richer, more fulfilling outcomes that reflect the complexity of who we are. In essence, learning to appreciate when to lean on reason and when to trust your feelings can empower you to navigate both personal and group decisions with greater confidence, ultimately allowing you to lead a more integrated and authentic life. Why do I feel drawn to certain people or ideas in life? Every now and then, I find myself pondering the mystery behind my attraction to certain individuals or the magnetic pull toward particular ideas, as if there's an invisible thread connecting me to them. This feeling isn't random. It seems to emerge from shared experiences, common values, or even a spark of curiosity that defies straightforward explanation. In everyday life, this might be the inexplicable comfort of a friend who listens without judgment or the sudden enthusiasm I feel for a creative project that aligns with my deepest interests. Such connections often seem to bridge the gap between who I am and who I want to be, suggesting that these relationships and ideas are not just coincidences but reflections of my inner world. Like choosing a book that speaks to your soul among many, the people and thoughts that resonate most deeply often mirror aspects of your own personality or aspirations, even if you can't fully articulate why. This paradox challenges the notion that attractions are solely based on rational criteria, highlighting instead the rich tapestry of emotions, memories, and unconscious influences that shape our preferences. In group settings, these natural affinities can lead to the formation of close-knit communities or spark creative collaborations that bring unexpected innovations to life. The key insight is that the forces drawing you towards certain people or ideas are part of what makes you unique, offering clues about your values and potential. By embracing these connections rather than questioning them too harshly, you learn to navigate relationships and group decisions with a more intuitive and heartfelt approach, enriching your personal life and fostering a stronger sense of community. Does time heal all wounds, or do we heal them ourselves? There are moments when I sit quietly with my thoughts and wonder if the passage of time alone can mend the hurts we endure, or if it's our own efforts that eventually bring solace. This question often arises in the wake of personal setbacks or after experiencing loss, when the scars of emotional pain seem both vivid and strangely distant at once. In everyday interactions, I have seen friends gradually smile again after a period of deep sorrow, not simply because days passed by, but because they actively sought healing through new experiences, honest conversations, or small acts of self-care. It appears that while time provides the canvas on which healing occurs, it is our deliberate actions, like seeking forgiveness, finding new interests, or simply giving ourselves permission to feel, that truly repair the wounds. This delicate balance is akin to tending a garden. The soil may naturally become richer as seasons change, but without the gardener's careful nurturing, the plants of recovery might never flourish fully. In group decisions or community support, this understanding of healing often translates into initiatives that encourage open dialogue, support systems, and shared experiences that help individuals mend together. The paradox lies in recognizing that while time is an essential backdrop to recovery, it is our own will and intentional efforts that drive the healing process forward. Embracing this truth allows us to take responsibility for our well-being and to support one another in the journey toward wholeness, ultimately enriching both our personal lives and the collective strength of our communities. How have my personal beliefs evolved over the years? Reflecting on the beliefs I once held so firmly and the ideas I now embrace reveals a quiet transformation that feels both surprising and deeply personal. My thoughts have often shifted like the seasons, each change marked by new experiences, unexpected challenges, and insights gleaned from conversations with others who saw the world differently. In everyday life, these evolving beliefs become apparent in the way I approach decisions. Once, I might have clung to rigid principles without question, but now I find myself open to reconsidering old views in light of fresh evidence or alternative perspectives. Whether it's about the nature of success, the importance of compassion, or the role of fate in our lives, each shift has left an indelible mark on who I am today. It's similar to how a river carves its path over time, subtly altering the landscape as it flows, leaving behind both familiar banks and unexpected bends. In group settings, this evolution often plays a crucial role in shaping collective decisions, as communities benefit from members who are willing to adapt and grow based on shared experiences and ongoing dialogue. The paradox here is that while deeply held beliefs provide a sense of identity and stability, allowing them to evolve can open doors to deeper understanding and connection. Embracing change in your worldview not only enriches your own life but also contributes to a more dynamic and empathetic community, where growth is seen as a strength rather than a betrayal of past principles. Recognizing the fluid nature of belief encourages a mindset that is both reflective and open, fostering personal growth and enhancing group decisions by incorporating diverse perspectives. What is the difference between loneliness and solitude for me? I often find myself questioning the fine line between loneliness and solitude, trying to understand when being alone becomes a source of peace rather than a feeling of isolation. There are times when I crave quiet moments away from the hustle of daily life, finding solace in the silence and using it as an opportunity for self-reflection and creativity. Yet, other times, the same quiet can feel heavy, filled with a sense of disconnection and longing for companionship. In my everyday experience, solitude is a deliberate choice, a time set aside to recharge and to listen to the inner voice that often gets drowned out by constant chatter and activity. Loneliness, by contrast, creeps in when I feel cut off from the warmth of others, even if I'm surrounded by people who, for various reasons, cannot fill the void. This distinction is much like the difference between a calm, refreshing retreat and an empty room that echoes with silence, each evoking very different emotions. In group settings or community decisions, understanding this difference can lead to better support systems, where people learn to appreciate moments of solitude without slipping into isolation. The paradox is that while solitude can be a powerful tool for personal growth and clarity, it may also slip into loneliness if not balanced by meaningful connections. By recognizing what each state brings, I learn to navigate my social needs more mindfully, ensuring that time spent alone is restorative rather than painful. This awareness ultimately enriches not only my personal life but also informs how I contribute to group decisions, highlighting the importance of fostering environments where both individual space and collective support coexist harmoniously. If I had to define love in one sentence, what would I say? There comes a moment when I am challenged to condense the complex tapestry of emotions, memories, and shared experiences into a single, clear statement that encapsulates what love truly means to me. Over time, I have witnessed love take on various forms, from the gentle care of a close friend to the passionate, sometimes tumultuous, bond between partners, and each experience has added a new layer to my understanding. To me, is like the steady glow of a lantern that lights up dark paths, offering comfort and a sense of belonging even when life feels uncertain or overwhelming. In daily life, love is expressed in small acts, a supportive text message from someone who cares, the shared laughter at a meal, or the quiet understanding during a difficult moment. The paradox lies in the fact that love is both immensely simple and incredibly complex. It is a basic human need, yet its expressions are as varied as the people who feel it. When I consider how love influences group decisions, it becomes clear that the warmth and empathy generated by genuine care can transform disagreements into collaborative efforts and conflicts into opportunities for mutual understanding. The challenge of defining love in one sentence forces me to sift through all the emotions and experiences, ultimately arriving at a statement that is as personal as it is universal. The key takeaway is that love, in all its forms, is a fundamental force that shapes our relationships and our choices, making it an indispensable element in both our personal journeys and the way we come together to create a better future. Do my fears reflect reality or just my imagination? Every so often, I catch myself questioning whether the fears that keep me awake at night are rooted in the real challenges of life or if they are simply wild creations of my overactive mind. These fears often manifest in moments of stress or uncertainty, presenting scenarios that seem dire yet, upon closer reflection, may be exaggerated or even unfounded. In daily experiences, this distinction becomes crucial when deciding whether to act or hold back. For instance, hesitating to pursue a new opportunity because of a fear that may not accurately represent the situation. I have observed that sometimes the most frightening obstacles turn out to be less formidable than my imagination led me to believe, while at other times, genuine risks require careful consideration and proactive measures. The paradox is that our fears, while often serving as warnings, can also distort reality, leading us to make choices based on imagined dangers rather than facts. In group decisions, this dynamic is evident when collective anxieties shape policies or strategies that might stifle creativity and progress. By learning to differentiate between realistic concerns and those inflated by emotion, I can approach decisions with a clearer, more balanced perspective. This process of questioning and self-reflection helps me to identify which fears are signals of real issues needing attention, and which are simply echoes of past disappointments or uncertainties about the future. Ultimately, understanding that not every fear is an accurate reflection of reality empowers me to take measured risks and embrace opportunities that might otherwise be missed. A lesson that is equally valuable in collaborative environments where collective progress depends on overcoming unfounded anxieties. How does my environment shape my perspective? On many days, I find that the world around me plays a subtle yet powerful role in influencing how I see things, from the people I interact with to the spaces where I work and relax. My surroundings, whether a bustling city street, a quiet park bench, or even the familiar walls of my home, provide a context that frames my thoughts, beliefs, and emotions. This influence is evident in the way local culture, community values, and even the natural landscape contribute to my daily mood and decision-making process. I recall times when moving to a new neighborhood completely shifted my outlook, exposing me to diverse ideas and challenging previously held notions. In everyday life, this environmental shaping can be seen when the ambience of a well-designed office sparks creativity or when the warmth of a close-knit community offers comfort in times of uncertainty. The paradox here is that while we often believe our opinions and attitudes are solely our own, they are also deeply entwined with the external influences that surround us. In group decisions, these shared environments foster common ground and collective understanding, even when individual perspectives differ. Recognizing the role of our environment in shaping our views helps me appreciate both the value of diverse experiences and the importance of creating spaces that nurture positive thinking. The key takeaway is that our surroundings do not dictate our beliefs entirely, but they certainly guide them. reminding us to be mindful of the contexts we choose and the ways in which they influence not only our personal perspectives but also the outcomes of our collaborative efforts. What does true freedom of thought mean to me? There are moments when I pause to reflect on the concept of free thinking, questioning what it truly means to have an unburdened mind capable of forming independent ideas without undue influence. In my day-to-day life, this idea often comes up when faced with conflicting opinions, societal expectations, or even my own ingrained habits, all of which can sometimes feel like invisible chains limiting my mental creativity. True freedom of thought, as I see it, is the ability to explore new ideas, challenge old assumptions, and make decisions based on a genuine evaluation of facts and feelings rather than simply following the crowd. I have noticed that when I allow myself to question norms, whether it's by reading diverse viewpoints or engaging in honest discussions with people who disagree with me, I experience a refreshing clarity that helps me understand the world in a more balanced way. This clarity is not about rejecting all influence, but rather about discerning which ideas are truly my own and which have been borrowed without reflection. In group settings, this freedom can spark innovative solutions as each member contributes unique insights, ultimately leading to decisions that are richer and more inclusive. The paradox lies in the fact that while society often celebrates independent thinking, many of us inadvertently conform to established patterns simply for the comfort of familiarity. Embracing true freedom of thought means taking deliberate steps to break away from automatic habits and actively seeking out diverse experiences and perspectives. The insight here is that an open, critically engaged mind not only enriches personal life but also enhances the quality of group decisions, fostering a culture where genuine creativity and independent thought are valued and encouraged. Where do I find meaning when everything feels uncertain? In times when uncertainty seems to overwhelm every aspect of life, I often search for pockets of clarity and purpose that ground me amidst the chaos. Uncertainty can creep into our daily routines, leaving us with questions about the future and doubts about the choices we make. Yet, even when circumstances are unpredictable, I have come to notice that meaning often emerges in the small, consistent acts of kindness, creativity, and connection that punctuate our everyday experiences. There are days when a simple conversation with a friend, a quiet moment of reflection, or the steady rhythm of a daily routine can provide a sense of purpose, even if the bigger picture remains unclear. This paradox, that meaning can be found in both the calm of routine and the turmoil of change, reminds me that purpose is not solely the result of grand, sweeping events but is often woven from the threads of ordinary moments. In a group setting, this insight is reflected in the way communities rally together during challenging times, finding strength and purpose in shared goals and mutual support. The process of seeking meaning in uncertainty is like sifting through scattered pieces of a puzzle, gradually revealing an image that, while incomplete, offers direction and hope. Recognizing that life's unpredictability does not preclude finding significance in the present helps me navigate challenges with resilience and optimism. The key takeaway is that even when the future is murky, the small, intentional choices we make each day, both individually and collectively, can create a steady beacon of meaning, guiding us forward with a sense of shared purpose and commitment. Could technology ever replace true human connection? In our fast-paced modern world, discussions often arise about whether screens and algorithms can fill the role of a warm conversation or a heartfelt hug. When we rely on digital tools to bridge distances, there's a lingering question about the depth and authenticity of the interactions they facilitate. Some argue that video calls, social media, and messaging apps create bonds that are as strong as those formed face-to-face, while others maintain that nothing can substitute for the subtleties of a real human touch, a look of genuine concern in someone's eyes, or the quiet reassurance of a friend's presence during tough times. Daily experiences often reveal the strength of digital connections. A quick text might brighten your day, or an online community might offer support during a crisis. However, these exchanges sometimes lack the richness of physical presence, where nonverbal cues, shared laughter, and even the comfort of silence play crucial roles in deepening trust and empathy. The paradox lies in the fact that while technology makes it easier than ever to stay connected across great distances, it can also foster a sense of isolation by replacing genuine, in-person interactions with brief, often superficial messages. Consider how a family separated by geography might rely on social media to celebrate milestones, yet still long for the warmth of a hug that only a physical reunion can provide. This tension forces us to weigh convenience against the quality of human connection, challenging us to decide what we value most in our interactions. The key takeaway is that technology, for all its advantages, serves best as a complement to, not a replacement for, real, tangible connections. A balanced approach can help preserve the depth of our relationships while still enjoying the benefits of modern communication, reminding us that while digital tools can keep us informed and connected, the true essence of human warmth is found in shared moments that transcend pixels and data streams. Do I base my sense of worth on others' opinions or my own ideals? Sometimes, I catch myself wondering if my value is defined by the praise of others or by the standards I set for myself. Growing up, many of us learn to seek validation from external sources, a compliment from a friend, a nod of approval at work, or even the number of likes on a social media post. Yet deep down, there's often a part of us that yearns to be recognized on our own terms, guided by personal ideals and self-respect rather than the shifting opinions of those around us. Daily, I observe this struggle when a small success feels diminished by the lack of public acknowledgement, or when criticism, however minor, leaves a lasting mark on my confidence. The paradox is that while external validation can provide a quick boost of self-esteem, relying on it makes us vulnerable to the whims of others' judgments. On the other hand, cultivating an inner standard of worth, where success is measured by personal growth, and perseverance, offers a more stable, though sometimes challenging, path to fulfillment. In everyday situations, this might mean choosing to follow a passion that doesn't garner mass approval, or standing firm in your beliefs even when they run counter to popular opinion. The tension here is palpable, the desire to be liked versus the need to honor one's unique vision and values. When decisions are made in groups, this inner versus outer validation can influence everything from the direction of a project to the policies a community upholds. The lesson is clear. While it is natural to appreciate the opinions of others, true self-worth is built on a foundation of personal ideals and inner confidence. Embracing this balance can empower us to make decisions that honor our authentic selves, ultimately fostering a community where individual strengths enrich collective outcomes. How can I maintain hope in the face of overwhelming problems? At times when the weight of challenges seems unbearable, a pressing question emerges. How do I keep hope alive amid uncertainty and hardship? Facing personal or collective difficulties can feel like wading through a storm where every step is met with resistance. In everyday life, this struggle may manifest when setbacks at work, conflicts in relationships, or broader societal issues make the future appear bleak. Yet, hope often arrives quietly, a supportive word from a friend, a small victory in a challenging project, or even a moment of laughter in an otherwise grim day. The paradox is that hope is most potent when it exists despite the odds, serving as a beacon that guides us through the darkest times. Often, we find that hope is not an automatic response to good circumstances but a conscious choice to see possibilities beyond immediate problems. In group settings, this sentiment becomes even more significant. Communities that foster hope can inspire creative solutions and collective action, turning shared struggles into opportunities for growth and resilience. I've seen teams rally together during crises, driven by the belief that even small contributions can make a difference, and individuals who, despite personal trials, continue to dream of a better tomorrow. This dynamic teaches that hope is a resource to be nurtured, one that grows stronger with each supportive gesture and every step toward improvement. The key takeaway is that maintaining hope is not about denying reality but about finding strength in the small, often overlooked moments of progress. By choosing to focus on these glimmers of possibility, both individuals and groups can transform challenges into catalysts for change, ensuring that hope remains a vital force in shaping a brighter future. Do I grow most from comfort or from adversity? There are moments when I pause to consider whether the best lessons in life come from periods of ease or from the trials that push me out of my comfort zone. Reflecting on personal experiences, I often see that while comfort provides stability and a sense of well-being, it is adversity that challenges me to evolve and ultimately discover new strengths. In everyday life, this dilemma appears when a setback at work forces me to reevaluate my approach, or when a personal loss reveals hidden depths of resilience I never knew I had. The paradox lies in the fact that comfort can be a nurturing environment that helps maintain the status quo, yet it is often the hardships, those unexpected, sometimes painful moments, that spark true growth and transformation. Consider how a team facing a major project crisis might initially struggle, but in the process, learn innovative strategies and develop a stronger bond that endures well into the future. Similarly, on a personal level, a challenging experience might seem overwhelming at first, but later, it unfolds as a pivotal turning point that redefines one's outlook and capabilities. This tension is also evident in group decisions, where the balance between preserving established methods and embracing bold, risky changes can determine success or stagnation. The key takeaway is that while comfort has its place in providing a solid foundation, it is often adversity that catalyzes significant progress and personal development. Embracing challenges as opportunities for learning not only builds resilience but also enriches the decision-making process within communities, as collective growth is fostered by a shared willingness to face and overcome difficulties. Is beauty a universal concept or purely subjective? On days when I encounter art, or even a simple smile, I find myself wondering whether beauty is something everyone can agree on or if it exists only in the eye of the beholder. This question is a constant companion in everyday life. Whether I'm admiring a breathtaking sunset, listening to a piece of music that moves me deeply, or noticing the intricate details in everyday objects that others might overlook. Some argue that beauty has universal qualities, symmetry, balance, and harmony that resonate across cultures, while others insist that personal experiences, cultural backgrounds, and individual tastes shape our unique perceptions of what is beautiful. The paradox here is that while society often celebrates certain standards of beauty, the true experience of it is deeply personal and varies from one person to another. In practical terms, this can be seen when a piece of art evokes a powerful reaction in one individual yet leaves another unmoved, or when a scenic view is breathtaking to some but not particularly impressive to others. In group settings, discussions about beauty can become a microcosm of larger debates about values and preferences, highlighting the challenge of creating standards that honor both common ground and individual expression. The key insight is that beauty, whether perceived as universal or subjective, plays a significant role in how we appreciate the world and make decisions that affect our collective environment. Embracing this dual nature enriches our understanding of art and even community aesthetics, reminding us that diverse perspectives can coexist and complement one another, ultimately influencing group decisions in meaningful ways. What would I do differently if money were no object? At times, I catch myself wondering how my choices might change if financial constraints were removed from the equation, a thought that often sparks a mix of excitement and introspection. In everyday life, money influences so many of our decisions, from the careers we pursue to the hobbies we engage in and even the relationships we form. When I consider a world without monetary limitations, I'm drawn to the idea of following my deepest passions without the burden of practicality, whether that means pursuing an unconventional career, investing time in creative endeavors, or traveling to places solely for the joy of exploration. The paradox lies in the fact that while money is essential for many aspects of life, it can also serve as a barrier to pursuing what truly matters, often forcing us to compromise our dreams in favor of financial security. For instance, a friend might choose a stable job that pays well but leaves little room for personal expression, while another might take risks to follow a passion, even if it means living a modest life. In group decisions, the influence of money can shape priorities and resource allocation, sometimes stifling innovative ideas that require bold investments. The core insight here is that considering life without the constraint of money forces us to re-examine our values and priorities, revealing what we might truly desire if we were free from economic pressures. This thought experiment encourages us to balance practicality with our dreams, recognizing that while financial stability is important, it should not overshadow the pursuit of personal fulfillment and creative expression. Ultimately, this reflection reminds us that real wealth often comes from experiences, relationships, and the freedom to be true to oneself, a lesson that can guide both personal and collective choices toward a more meaningful future. Which human emotion has the greatest power over my decisions? There are moments in life when I stop to reflect on the myriad emotions that influence my choices, wondering which one ultimately holds the greatest sway over my actions. Whether it's the pull of love, the sting of anger, the comfort of happiness, or even the fear of loss, each emotion plays a role in shaping the decisions I make, often without my conscious awareness. In everyday scenarios, I've noticed that certain feelings can override logic, steering me toward decisions that might seem impulsive in hindsight. For instance, the warmth of affection might compel me to forgive a mistake, while a surge of frustration could lead me to act rashly, sometimes even against my long-term interests. The paradox lies in the delicate balance between emotion and reason. While our emotions provide essential insights into our needs and desires, they can also cloud judgment and lead to unexpected outcomes. In group settings, this interplay of emotions can influence everything from voting behavior to the dynamics of team collaboration, as shared feelings can foster unity or, conversely, deepen divisions. Recognizing the power of emotion means learning to harness it constructively, using feelings as a guide rather than a dictator in decision-making. The key takeaway is that understanding which emotions drive us most profoundly can help us navigate personal challenges more wisely and contribute to more empathetic and balanced group decisions. In essence, by acknowledging the role of emotion in our lives, we can work toward a harmonious integration of heart and mind, leading to choices that are both authentic and thoughtfully considered. How can I better practice gratitude in my everyday life? Occasionally, I find myself considering whether I truly recognize the small blessings that fill my day, and how a conscious practice of gratitude might transform my outlook and interactions. Gratitude isn't just about saying thank you, it's about cultivating a mindset that finds joy and meaning in the ordinary, whether that's in the warmth of a morning cup of coffee, the gentle smile of a coworker, or the quiet moments of peace that punctuate a busy schedule. In daily routines, a simple shift in focus from what's missing to what's present can create a ripple effect that improves mood, reduces stress, and even strengthens relationships. The paradox is that while life often seems full of challenges and uncertainties, a practice of gratitude allows us to see beyond the immediate difficulties, highlighting the subtle, consistent sources of comfort and happiness that might otherwise go unnoticed. For example, a friend's kind gesture or a supportive word from a stranger can serve as powerful reminders of the goodness that persists even in hard times. In group environments, a shared culture of gratitude can foster greater cooperation and trust, turning individual moments of thankfulness into a collective force that enhances community spirit. The core insight is that gratitude is a tool for resilience, a way of anchoring ourselves amid life's inevitable ups and downs. Embracing this practice not only enriches personal well-being but also contributes to healthier, more compassionate decision-making in group settings, where recognizing and celebrating small victories can pave the way for lasting, positive change. Is morality innate, or is it something we learn? At times, I wrestle with the question of whether our sense of right and wrong is something we are born with or if it develops over time through experience and guidance. This debate often arises in discussions about personal values and ethical dilemmas, where instinct and upbringing seem to collide. In everyday life, you may notice that some moral reactions appear almost automatic, a gut feeling that tells you when something is unjust, while others evolve as you encounter different cultures, ideas, and situations. The paradox lies in the interplay between our natural impulses and the lessons we learn from society, family, and personal experiences. For example, a child might instinctively show empathy when someone is hurt, yet as they grow, their understanding of fairness and justice deepens, shaped by education and reflection. In group decisions, this blend of innate morality and learned ethics can lead to rich, sometimes challenging debates about what is truly right, reflecting both universal human experiences and the nuances of individual life. The takeaway is that morality is not simply a fixed trait or a set of rules handed down unchanged, but a dynamic process that involves both inborn tendencies and continuous learning. Recognizing this duality helps us appreciate that ethical growth is an ongoing journey, one that shapes how we interact with others and influence collective decisions. Ultimately, understanding that morality is a blend of nature and nurture can inspire a more thoughtful and inclusive approach to both personal conduct and group decision-making, where diverse perspectives contribute to a richer, more compassionate vision of right and wrong. Could my life ever feel completely free from regret? Sometimes, I wonder if it's possible to reach a point where regret no longer shadows my every decision, where past mistakes no longer weigh heavily on my mind or define who I am. Regret is a common companion in life, appearing in the form of missed opportunities, unspoken words, or choices made under pressure. In everyday life, we all carry a collection of regrets, some small and fleeting, others more significant and enduring, that can serve as both lessons and burdens. The paradox is that while regret can be a source of valuable insight, it often holds us back from fully embracing the present and moving forward with confidence. There are moments when I catch myself replaying past events, wishing for a different outcome, even as I recognize that each experience, however painful, has contributed to the person I am today. In group settings, this sentiment is echoed when communities reflect on decisions that led to collective setbacks, learning from them while striving to build a better future. The challenge lies in finding a balance between acknowledging regret as a teacher and not allowing it to paralyze progress. A practical approach might involve accepting mistakes as part of life's journey, using them to guide future actions rather than as chains that restrict growth. The key insight here is that a life free from regret isn't about erasing the past, but about transforming those experiences into wisdom and resilience. Embracing this mindset can help us make more informed, compassionate decisions both individually and within a group, creating a space where learning from the past paves the way for a more hopeful, empowered future. Do I trust myself as much as I should? Sometimes a quiet moment forces me to reflect on how often I second-guess my own decisions and wonder if I truly believe in my inner voice. There are times when I hesitate before making a choice, feeling the weight of external opinions and the pressure to conform, rather than relying on my own judgment. In daily life, this lack of self-trust can manifest in small, seemingly insignificant moments, like postponing a decision on a meal order or doubting a career move, even when deep down I know what feels right. This inner conflict creates a kind of paralysis, where the fear of being wrong overshadows the clarity that comes from trusting oneself. When I notice that others admire confidence and decisiveness, it pushes me to question whether I should listen more closely to my own instincts instead of seeking constant reassurance. This struggle between self-doubt and inner conviction is not just a personal hurdle but also something that affects how I contribute in group settings. For instance, during team discussions, I sometimes withhold opinions that might be valuable because I worry about whether they'll be accepted, even though those ideas could lead to meaningful progress. Over time, I've realized that learning to trust my judgment is a process, a gradual shift where each small victory, each decision taken and owned, builds a stronger sense of self-reliance. The challenge is to overcome the habit of deferring to others' expectations and instead give myself permission to be imperfect. Building trust in myself means accepting that mistakes are part of growth and that my unique perspective holds value. The key takeaway here is that self-trust is the foundation for confident decision-making and authentic living. When I learn to honor my inner voice, I not only improve my own well-being but also contribute more effectively to group decisions, where a confident individual can inspire collective courage and innovation. How do I handle the tension between obligation and desire? Every day, I confront the challenge of balancing responsibilities with the pull of my personal wants, a conflict that often leaves me feeling torn between duty and passion. There are times when obligations, whether work deadlines, family commitments, or societal expectations, seem to crowd out the dreams and spontaneous impulses that make life vibrant. This tension appears in choices as simple as deciding whether to work late on a project or spend quality time with loved ones, where each option carries its own set of rewards and regrets. I notice that this conflict can sap energy and create stress, especially when the demands of daily life overshadow the moments that ignite my creativity and personal fulfillment. At its core, this paradox is about finding a balance between what I must do and what I truly want to do, a balance that is not easily achieved because both sides feel essential to my well-being. In many instances, I try to carve out small pockets of time where I can pursue my personal interests without feeling guilty, even if that means rethinking my priorities or restructuring my schedule. Group decisions and community projects often reflect this tension as well. Teams must navigate the need to fulfill collective duties while also encouraging innovative ideas that might break from tradition. The insight here is that acknowledging the pull of both obligation and desire is the first step toward finding a sustainable balance. By learning to set clear boundaries and prioritize what truly matters, I gradually create space for personal passions without neglecting responsibilities. Ultimately, embracing both sides of this tension leads to a more integrated life where duties are met and desires are nurtured, creating a dynamic equilibrium that enriches both individual and collective experiences. What am I willing to sacrifice for my deepest values? There comes a time when I must ask myself how much I am prepared to give up in order to stay true to the principles that matter most in my life. This question often emerges during moments of decision-making when personal interests collide with ethical or moral imperatives. In everyday choices, whether it's turning down a lucrative job offer that conflicts with my beliefs or standing up for someone even when it might bring personal risk, the cost of maintaining integrity can be steep. The struggle is real when I notice that compromises, however minor they seem, may erode the very values that define me. On a personal level, I have experienced instances where following my heart led me down an uncertain path, yet the satisfaction of living authentically outweighed the potential losses. In a group setting, this same dilemma appears when collective decisions must balance individual comfort against the welfare of the community. There are times when speaking out against popular opinion or challenging established practices demands sacrifices, be it in time, effort, or even social standing. The paradox lies in the idea that while compromise can foster harmony, it sometimes dilutes the core of who we are and what we stand for. Over the years, I've learned that identifying my deepest values and being clear about what I am not willing to compromise creates a strong foundation for decision-making. This clarity allows me to navigate both personal dilemmas and group decisions with conviction, even when the choices are difficult. The essential lesson is that sacrifice, when guided by unwavering values, is not a loss but an investment in integrity and authenticity. In the end, the courage to sacrifice for what truly matters enriches both individual lives and the broader community, fostering an environment where shared principles drive positive, meaningful action. In what ways does creativity add depth to my experience of life? There are moments when I reflect on the role of creativity and realize that it brings an unexpected richness to even the most ordinary days. Creativity isn't confined to art or music. It permeates every aspect of life, turning routine activities into opportunities for innovation and personal expression. Daily, I find that a creative twist, a new approach to a common task, a fresh perspective on a long-standing problem, can transform challenges into moments of growth. Whether it's crafting a heartfelt message, cooking a meal with a personal flair, or finding a unique solution at work, creativity adds layers of meaning that elevate the mundane. This process of creative expression is like adding vibrant colors to a black and white sketch, deepening the narrative of my experiences. In group settings, Creativity sparks collaboration and opens up pathways to solutions that are both effective and inspiring, leading to decisions that reflect a blend of diverse insights. Yet, the paradox is that while creativity offers boundless possibilities, it often requires vulnerability and the willingness to step outside familiar boundaries, a challenge that can be intimidating. Embracing creativity means accepting that not every attempt will be perfect, but each effort adds a valuable dimension to personal and collective progress. I have learned that even in moments of uncertainty, the act of thinking differently can foster resilience and open up new opportunities that might otherwise remain hidden. The takeaway here is that creativity is a dynamic force that enriches life, infusing routine moments with passion and innovation, and it plays a crucial role in shaping decisions that benefit both the individual and the community as a whole. How can I foster a deeper connection to nature? Sometimes, I find that the call of nature becomes a silent invitation to reconnect with the world beyond the hustle of everyday urban life. Seeking this connection often means stepping away from screens and schedules to immerse myself in natural settings where the rhythm of life unfolds at its own pace. In daily life, this could be as simple as taking a walk in the park, tending to a small garden, or even pausing to watch the sunset, each act offering a gentle reminder of the beauty and balance found in nature. The allure of nature lies in its power to ground me, to offer a momentary escape from the constant demands of modern living, and to refresh my perspective on what truly matters. There is a paradox in that while technology and urban development have made life more efficient, they have also created a distance from the natural world that nurtures our spirit. In group decisions, the need for environmental sustainability often reflects a collective desire to reclaim that connection, to make choices that honor the delicate balance of our ecosystem. Personally, I have come to see that fostering a deeper bond with nature involves both a conscious effort to spend time outdoors and a commitment to caring for the environment through mindful actions. Whether it's joining community cleanup efforts, supporting local green initiatives, or simply choosing to enjoy a quiet moment by a lake, these activities add a layer of meaning to my daily routine. The key lesson is that reconnecting with nature not only benefits individual well-being but also strengthens the community, as shared experiences in natural settings foster cooperation and collective responsibility. In essence, nurturing a bond with nature enhances life by offering a steady source of inspiration, balance, and renewal. Why am I drawn to the pursuits and hobbies I love? Occasionally, I pause to consider what it is about my favorite hobbies that captures my heart so completely, leading me to invest time and passion in pursuits that might seem trivial to others. These interests, whether it's playing a musical instrument, cooking a unique recipe, or even a specific form of exercise, often become more than just activities. They transform into essential parts of my identity and sources of deep satisfaction. Every day, I notice that these pursuits offer an escape from routine pressures and a space where creativity and personal expression can flourish without constraints. The appeal lies in the freedom to explore, experiment, and express myself in ways that feel authentic and fulfilling. There is a quiet paradox here. What may start as a simple interest often evolves into a profound passion that influences how I see the world and interact with others. In group settings, shared hobbies and interests can serve as a bridge, uniting people across different backgrounds and inspiring collaboration and mutual support. The process of engaging in these activities not only builds skills but also nourishes the soul, offering moments of joy and clarity that help balance the challenges of daily life. I've learned that the things I'm drawn to reflect underlying values and aspects of my personality that are crucial for my personal growth. The key takeaway is that our passions, no matter how small they seem, contribute significantly to our overall well-being and help shape the choices we make, both individually and collectively. Recognizing this can inspire a more mindful approach to how we allocate our time and energy, ensuring that we nurture the pursuits that enrich our lives and create lasting connections with others. What would I most like to change about the world? At times, I find myself wondering what one change could have the greatest impact on making the world a kinder, fairer place, a question that nudges me to think beyond personal interests and consider the greater good. This reflection often comes when I witness acts of injustice, environmental degradation, or social disconnect, sparking a desire to envision a future that is more compassionate and sustainable. Daily, I see small injustices and inefficiencies that collectively create a need for transformation, whether it's in local communities or on a global scale. This inner dialogue compels me to consider how even modest shifts in attitudes or policies can ripple outwards, influencing larger systems in profound ways. In group decision-making scenarios, the collective vision for change can serve as a powerful catalyst, encouraging communities to come together and address shared concerns. Whether it's promoting renewable energy, ensuring equal opportunities for all, or fostering a culture of empathy, the idea is that each person's commitment to change contributes to a broader movement toward improvement. The paradox lies in the tension between feeling powerless in the face of massive challenges and recognizing that individual actions, when combined, can spark significant progress. I've seen how local initiatives have transformed neighborhoods and how small acts of kindness can inspire widespread social change. The key lesson is that while the task may seem daunting, the desire to create a better world starts with rethinking our daily choices and supporting collective efforts that drive positive change. In essence, reflecting on what I would change about the world motivates both personal growth and collaborative action, underscoring the importance of shared values in shaping a future that benefits everyone. What do I fear losing the most in life? Every once in a while, I stop to consider what it is that truly matters, and in doing so, confront the deep-seated fears of loss that can haunt even the strongest among us. This isn't just about tangible possessions or fleeting relationships, but the more profound elements, such as identity, purpose, and connection, that define who I am. In my day-to-day life, these fears might surface as a reluctance to take risks, a hesitation to open up, or even a quiet anxiety that the things I hold dear might vanish unexpectedly. This internal struggle often becomes apparent during moments of change or uncertainty, when the potential for loss feels both imminent and overwhelming. In group settings, similar fears can influence decisions, as the fear of losing shared values or mutual trust might lead to conservative choices rather than bold, innovative steps forward. Paradoxically, acknowledging these fears can also be a source of strength. By facing what I am most afraid of losing, I learn to prioritize and protect the elements of my life that truly matter. Over time, I have discovered that the act of confronting these fears directly, whether through honest conversation, reflective writing, or supportive interactions, can transform them into motivators for living more fully and intentionally. The takeaway is that understanding what I fear losing most is not a sign of weakness, but a catalyst for deeper self-awareness and more meaningful choices. Ultimately, by recognizing and embracing these fears, I can fortify my relationships, strengthen my sense of purpose, and contribute to group decisions that value long-term well-being over short-term comfort, paving the way for a life that honors both the precious and the impermanent. How can I transform negative self-talk into constructive reflection? There are moments when harsh inner voices seem to echo through my mind, urging self-criticism and doubt, and I begin to wonder how I might change that dialogue into a force for growth instead of pain. It often happens during times of setback or failure, when the internal narrative shifts from encouragement to relentless judgment, leaving me feeling stuck and overwhelmed by the weight of my own expectations. This negative self-talk can be a powerful barrier, dimming the spark of confidence and stifling the creative energy that comes from a willingness to try new things. In everyday interactions, this internal critic might manifest as second-guessing decisions or feeling undeserving of praise, even when objective successes are evident. The challenge lies in recognizing these moments and choosing to reframe them, transforming self-reproach into questions that lead to learning and improvement. For instance, instead of berating myself for a mistake, I can ask what lessons it holds and how I can use the experience to move forward. This shift in perspective isn't immediate or easy, but with consistent effort, it can gradually reshape my inner dialogue into one that fosters resilience and growth. In group settings, A similar process of constructive reflection helps create an environment where feedback is seen as an opportunity for improvement rather than a personal attack. The key insight is that by changing the tone of our self-talk, we empower ourselves to approach challenges with curiosity and determination rather than fear and self-doubt. Ultimately, transforming negative self-talk into constructive reflection not only enhances personal well-being but also enriches the quality of collaborative decision-making, where a supportive, growth-oriented mindset can uplift everyone involved. When have I felt the most alive? And how can I recreate that feeling? There are times when I catch myself reminiscing about moments when life pulsed with energy and everything felt remarkably vivid, and I begin to wonder what sparked that sense of being truly alive. Reflecting on those rare but unforgettable experiences reveals a blend of passion, spontaneity, and deep engagement with the present, qualities that seem to vanish in the routine of daily life. These moments might come from a sudden burst of creativity, an unexpected adventure with friends, or even a quiet realization that my efforts have made a real difference in someone's life. In everyday life, such experiences remind me that living fully isn't reserved for extraordinary events but can emerge from ordinary moments when I am fully present and open to possibility. The paradox is that while routine can provide stability and comfort, it sometimes dulls the excitement that comes from embracing life's uncertainties and challenges. Recreating that sense of aliveness often involves breaking away from predictable patterns, seeking out new challenges, and allowing myself to be vulnerable in the face of the unknown. In group decisions, the same energy can transform mundane processes into collaborative adventures where each voice contributes to a dynamic, evolving outcome. The key insight is that feeling alive is not a constant state but a series of moments that can be cultivated by embracing risk, innovation, and genuine connection. By identifying what elements contributed to those peak experiences, whether it was creativity, connection, or the thrill of the unexpected, I can make conscious choices to invite more of that energy into my daily routine. In doing so, I not only enrich my own life but also inspire a collective spirit that values passion and engagement, making every decision a step toward a more vibrant future. What does my dream life look like? I often find myself lost in thought when I consider the life I truly desire, weighing every small detail against the big picture of happiness and fulfillment. This reflection isn't about chasing fleeting pleasures but about understanding the core values that would make my everyday existence feel purposeful. In my mind's eye, a dream life isn't measured solely by material wealth or societal milestones. It's defined by moments of genuine connection, creative expression, and personal growth. For instance, I recall times when a simple evening spent laughing with close friends or a quiet afternoon dedicated to a passion project sparked a sense of contentment that no external achievement could match. It seems that what I yearn for most is an existence where every decision aligns with my deepest values, allowing me to wake up each day with a clear sense of direction and inner peace. At the same time, I recognize that the dream life is not a static endpoint but an evolving journey, one where successes and setbacks both contribute to the richness of the experience. This introspection reminds me that the pursuit of dreams often involves taking risks, learning from failures, and being open to change. When I share these thoughts with others, I notice that dreams can differ vastly from person to person, yet they all share a common thread of striving for meaning beyond the ordinary. In group situations, this diversity of dreams creates an environment where collaborative efforts can lead to innovative solutions that honor each individual's vision. The key takeaway is that my dream life would be one where authenticity reigns, where each day is a careful balance of ambition and contentment, and where the small joys add up to a deep sense of fulfillment. Recognizing this helps me focus on what truly matters and guides me in making choices that not only benefit me but also contribute to a supportive, inspiring community. Do the details of my life matter to the grand scheme of things? Every now and then, I pause to consider whether the everyday moments and small details of my life hold significance in the larger narrative of who I am and the impact I wish to make. There's a common notion that only grand achievements or dramatic events define one's legacy, yet I've experienced that the quiet details often carry the most weight. a casual conversation with a mentor, the deliberate care taken in a morning routine, or the consistent acts of kindness toward strangers, all these moments, while seemingly insignificant at first glance, weave together the fabric of my identity. I recall days when even the simplest gestures, a smile from a passerby or a supportive text from a friend, lifted my spirits and reinforced my sense of belonging. These instances remind me that life's true value is not measured solely by big moments, but also by the accumulation of small acts that build resilience, compassion, and purpose over time. In a group setting, the details shared by each person contribute to a collective story that is richer and more diverse than any single achievement. The paradox here is that while the grand narrative is often celebrated, it is the intricate details that provide depth and authenticity to our shared experience. Recognizing the significance of these everyday occurrences encourages me to cherish them and to understand that every small choice contributes to a larger, meaningful whole. This awareness not only helps me appreciate my journey but also informs group decisions, where attention to detail can lead to more thoughtful, inclusive outcomes that honor every voice in the community. How can I ensure I'm living in alignment with my values? At times, I find myself questioning whether my daily actions truly reflect the principles I hold dear, and this internal audit often leads to a deeper exploration of my personal priorities. Living in alignment with one's values isn't simply a lofty ideal but a practical framework that guides every decision, from career choices to how I interact with friends and family. In moments of introspection, I evaluate the ways in which I honor my beliefs, whether through acts of generosity, the pursuit of knowledge, or standing up for what is right, even when it's inconvenient. There are days when I realize that small compromises, made in the rush of routine, may drift me away from my true self, and those instances serve as reminders to recalibrate my actions. Reflecting on these experiences has taught me that staying true to my values often requires courage and consistency, qualities that are nurtured over time through honest self-assessment and feedback from those I trust. In group decisions, this alignment becomes even more significant. When a collective vision is rooted in shared values, it tends to foster trust and unity, leading to outcomes that resonate on a deeper level. The challenge lies in identifying the gap between ideal and action, and then making the necessary adjustments, whether that means speaking up against injustice or simply being more mindful of the choices I make each day. The essential insight is that living in alignment with my values creates a coherent life narrative, one that is authentic and resilient, and it empowers me to contribute meaningfully to both personal relationships and communal endeavors. What role does compassion play in shaping my worldview? Sometimes, a simple act of kindness or a moment of empathy prompts me to reflect on how compassion influences not only my decisions but also the way I see the world. Compassion, as I understand it, is more than just feeling sympathy for others. It's an active commitment to understand and alleviate suffering, whether in my immediate circle or on a broader scale. I often recall instances when a gentle word or a supportive gesture from someone in need transformed my outlook, reinforcing the belief that empathy can bridge divides and foster genuine connections. In everyday life, compassion manifests in subtle yet profound ways, such as listening attentively to a friend's struggles, volunteering for community causes, or simply taking a moment to appreciate the challenges others face. This nurturing quality shapes my worldview by reminding me that everyone is fighting their own battles, and that collective progress hinges on our ability to empathize with one another. In group settings, compassion plays a critical role in guiding discussions and decisions, ensuring that policies and actions reflect not only efficiency but also care and understanding. The paradox is that while the world can often seem harsh and indifferent, acts of compassion reveal a softer, more human side that has the power to inspire and heal. By embracing compassion, I find that my decisions become more balanced and inclusive, ultimately contributing to a community that values both individual well-being and collective harmony. The key takeaway is that compassion is a cornerstone of a fulfilling life, influencing everything from personal relationships to the broader social fabric in ways that create lasting, positive change. How can I cultivate personal growth through daily habits? There are moments when I reassess my routines and wonder if the habits I nurture daily truly contribute to my personal evolution. The idea that small, consistent actions can gradually shape my character and lead to meaningful growth is both reassuring and motivating. Daily habits, whether it's setting aside time for reading, exercising, or practicing mindfulness, act as building blocks that reinforce my commitment to self-improvement. I've learned that even on days when progress feels slow, the discipline of maintaining these routines can create a ripple effect that transforms challenges into opportunities. In everyday life, this approach helps me stay focused and resilient, reminding me that growth is not always about grand gestures but often about the incremental steps taken consistently over time. In group settings, this concept translates to how collective habits, such as regular meetings, honest feedback, and mutual support, foster an environment where innovation and progress thrive. The paradox here is that while change can sometimes seem overwhelming, it is the accumulation of small, positive actions that ultimately leads to significant transformation. Reflecting on these habits makes me appreciate the value of perseverance and the importance of maintaining routines that align with my goals. The essential lesson is that personal growth is a continuous journey, built on everyday choices that may seem minor individually but, together, create a powerful force for change. Embracing these habits not only enriches my own life but also sets a positive example that can inspire others in the community to pursue their own paths of improvement. How do I understand or define the concept of truth? Occasionally, I wrestle with the elusive nature of truth and what it means to me in both personal and collective contexts. Truth is a concept that often feels both simple and complex, sometimes appearing as a clear, unchanging fact, and at other times, as a multifaceted idea that shifts with perspective and experience. My exploration of truth involves a constant balancing act between what I perceive to be objective realities and the subjective interpretations shaped by my emotions, experiences, and interactions with others. In daily encounters, I notice that what one person holds as an undeniable fact might be questioned by another based on different experiences, creating a dynamic landscape where truth is continuously negotiated. This tension becomes particularly evident in discussions or group decisions where differing views collide, and consensus seems difficult to achieve. The paradox lies in the recognition that while we often seek a singular, absolute truth, the reality of human experience is that truth can be both personal and evolving. Whether it's in the realm of science, relationships, or personal beliefs, understanding truth requires an openness to new ideas and a willingness to question long-held assumptions. Over time, I've come to appreciate that embracing the fluidity of truth can lead to deeper insights and more compassionate interactions. The key takeaway is that truth is not a static destination but a journey, a process of continuous discovery that enriches both individual understanding and collective wisdom. This realization encourages me to approach life with humility and curiosity, fostering a mindset that values dialogue and shared exploration in group decisions. Is my identity more static or always evolving? Every so often, I pause to reflect on whether the essence of who I am is fixed or if it transforms with each new experience and challenge. The question of identity is one that resonates deeply, as it touches on the interplay between our core traits and the ways in which our personalities shift over time. I've observed that while certain aspects of me, like my basic values or passions, remain relatively constant, other parts adapt in response to changing circumstances, relationships, and life experiences. Daily life offers ample evidence of this evolution. A decision made in my youth might seem foreign now, or a once rigid belief might soften as I gather new insights. In group contexts, this fluidity of identity can lead to richer, more inclusive discussions, as the evolving nature of each person's perspective adds layers of depth to collective decisions. The paradox here is that while stability provides comfort and a sense of belonging, change is what allows growth and innovation to flourish. I've learned that embracing the evolving aspects of my identity doesn't mean losing who I am. Rather, It means expanding my understanding of myself and welcoming the complexity of being human. This dynamic view of identity encourages me to remain open to new experiences, even if they challenge my preconceived notions. The essential lesson is that identity is a living, breathing process, partly anchored in enduring qualities and partly shaped by continuous learning and adaptation. Recognizing this can empower both personal development and group collaboration, as each person's evolving identity contributes to a more vibrant and adaptive community. If I could witness any event in history, what would it be and why? Sometimes I catch myself wondering which moment in the vast timeline of history holds the most profound lessons for me, as if one event could illuminate the complexities of the human journey in a single, defining snapshot. This question pushes me to think about not only the dramatic milestones that have shaped our world, but also the quieter, transformative moments that have influenced cultures and individual lives. I find that the events I gravitate toward are those marked by resilience, innovation, and a deep sense of hope amid adversity. Whether it's a groundbreaking movement for civil rights, a scientific breakthrough that reshaped our understanding of the universe, or even a lesser-known moment of community solidarity, each event carries with it stories of struggle and triumph that speak to the enduring spirit of humanity. In everyday life, contemplating such historical moments reminds me that progress often comes from the courage to challenge the status quo and the willingness to learn from past mistakes. In group decisions, drawing lessons from history can guide us toward choices that honor the values of justice, empathy, and collaboration. The paradox lies in the idea that while history is vast and complex, a single event can encapsulate a range of human experiences and inspire future action. The key takeaway for me is that reflecting on historical events provides not only context for the present but also a roadmap for building a more enlightened future. By understanding the significance of these events, I can make more informed decisions that contribute to a legacy of progress and shared understanding. In what ways does love reveal itself in ordinary moments? There are times when the subtle power of love strikes me unexpectedly, not in grand declarations or dramatic gestures, but in the quiet, everyday interactions that often go unnoticed. The true essence of love, I've come to realize, is found in the small acts of kindness that punctuate our daily routines. A smile from a stranger, a shared joke with a coworker, or a moment of silent support during a difficult day. These ordinary instances of care and understanding weave together to create a tapestry of love that sustains us even in challenging times. On many days, I feel that love's impact is most profound not when it is shouted from the rooftops, but when it is quietly present, offering comfort and strength without fanfare. In personal relationships, these moments reinforce the bonds that connect us, reminding me that love is not just an emotion but a series of choices made repeatedly over time. In group settings, too, the presence of genuine care and mutual respect can transform the dynamics of a community, making collaboration more effective and conflict resolution more compassionate. The paradox here is that while society often highlights the spectacular displays of love, it is the ordinary, everyday expressions that truly enrich our lives and build lasting connections. Recognizing this helps me appreciate the small gestures that might otherwise seem insignificant, understanding that each one contributes to a larger, nurturing whole. The essential insight is that ordinary moments of love are the building blocks of a meaningful life, influencing both individual well-being and collective harmony in profound, lasting ways. How has my definition of success changed since childhood? Every so often, I reflect on the dreams I once held as a child and compare them to what success means to me now, noticing how my definition has shifted in subtle yet important ways. In my youth, success often appeared in simple, concrete terms: scoring the winning goal, acing a test, or receiving praise for a neat accomplishment. Over time, however, my understanding of success has matured, evolving from a focus on external validation to a deeper appreciation for personal growth, meaningful relationships, and inner fulfillment. Daily experiences and challenges have reshaped my priorities, teaching me that success is not solely about achieving goals or accumulating accolades, but about learning from failures, embracing resilience, and staying true to my values. When I think back to those childhood dreams, I see a contrast with my current aspirations. The ambitious fantasies of youth have given way to a more measured, authentic pursuit of what truly matters. In group decisions and collaborative projects, this evolving perspective on success often surfaces as a preference for approaches that balance innovation with compassion, progress with sustainability. The paradox here is that while the ideals of success may seem to shrink or change with age, this evolution actually reflects a richer, more nuanced understanding of life's priorities. The takeaway is that redefining success isn't about lowering expectations, but about aligning goals with personal integrity and the well-being of those around me. Embracing this shift not only enhances my own life but also contributes to more thoughtful, inclusive decisions within any community I am part of. If I had infinite knowledge, would I also have infinite responsibility? Reflecting on the idea of possessing endless wisdom naturally leads me to question whether such boundless insight would come with an equally vast duty to act wisely in every situation. The notion is both empowering and intimidating, as it forces me to consider that if every piece of knowledge were at my disposal, I might be expected to solve every problem or prevent every potential harm, leaving no room for error or oversight. In everyday life, I often witness individuals making thoughtful decisions based on the limited information available to them, and I wonder how much more weight our choices would carry if we could see every possible outcome. The paradox here is that while infinite knowledge could allow for more informed, compassionate decisions, it might also paralyze us with the fear of causing unintended consequences in every action we take. This delicate balance is evident when I consider the responsibilities of leadership or mentorship, where even well-intentioned guidance sometimes results in unforeseen challenges. When people trust me with decisions, they expect a level of insight that may seem almost superhuman, yet the reality is that wisdom is often tempered by uncertainty and the inherent limitations of human experience. The question then becomes not just about the accumulation of facts, but about how I choose to use what I know to foster growth, healing, and progress for myself and others. Recognizing that with great knowledge comes the potential for great responsibility encourages me to be humble, empathetic, and measured in my actions, ensuring that every decision is guided by a sincere desire to benefit the greater good. Ultimately, the challenge is to embrace the pursuit of knowledge while understanding that it is the responsibility to act with integrity and care that truly defines wisdom. In this way, infinite knowledge is not just a treasure trove of facts, but a call to serve, inspire, and uplift, influencing not only personal growth but also the collective choices of those around me. Why am I sometimes hesitant to ask for help? There are moments in my daily routine when I find myself quietly resisting the urge to reach out for assistance, even when the burden feels too heavy to bear alone. And this hesitation reveals a deeper struggle with vulnerability and self-reliance. The reluctance stems from a fear of appearing weak or incompetent, as if the act of asking for help might shatter an image of independence that I've painstakingly built over time. This inner conflict becomes apparent during challenges at work or in personal projects, where the pride of handling things solo clashes with the realization that collaboration could lead to better outcomes. At the same time, I recognize that asking for help can be a profound expression of trust and a way to foster genuine connections, yet the societal pressures to do it all often keep me from opening up. In everyday interactions, this hesitation might manifest as a delayed response to a friend's offer of support or a missed opportunity to share ideas that could enrich a group project. The paradox is that while I value self-sufficiency, I also understand that growth and learning frequently come from exchanging perspectives and receiving constructive feedback. When I see others effortlessly lean on one another for support, it reminds me that vulnerability is not a sign of weakness but an essential component of building strong, resilient communities. Over time, I have come to appreciate that the courage to ask for help not only lightens the load but also creates space for mutual understanding and collective progress. The key takeaway is that embracing assistance enriches both individual well-being and group decision-making, transforming solitary struggles into shared victories. By acknowledging my own limitations, I can better contribute to environments where every voice matters and collaboration leads to stronger, more empathetic outcomes. What balance of structure and spontaneity works best for me? In my quest to navigate the intricacies of daily life, I often find myself weighing the benefits of a well-organized plan against the excitement of unexpected adventures, leading me to explore how structure and spontaneity can coexist harmoniously. There are days when a meticulously planned schedule brings a sense of control and accomplishment, ensuring that tasks are completed and goals are met, while other times, an unplanned detour offers fresh perspectives and creative breakthroughs that a rigid routine might stifle. This internal debate reveals that both approaches hold intrinsic value. Structure provides a dependable framework that minimizes chaos, yet spontaneity injects life with energy and innovation, sparking joy in the midst of the mundane. For instance, I've experienced that setting aside dedicated time for creative pursuits within a structured workday can lead to unexpected insights, blending reliability with the thrill of discovery. In group projects or community decisions, this balance plays a critical role, as too much rigidity can hamper creativity, while too little organization can result in disarray and unmet objectives. I have learned that the art of balancing structure and spontaneity involves creating flexible routines that accommodate surprises without derailing essential responsibilities. This dynamic interplay challenges me to remain adaptable, sticking to a plan when necessary, yet allowing room for unplanned moments that might enhance the overall experience. The key insight is that the optimal balance is not about choosing one over the other, but about integrating both elements so that they support and enrich each other. By fostering this equilibrium, I can ensure that my daily life remains both productive and exhilarating, leading to personal growth and more innovative, responsive group decisions. Embracing the blend of order and unpredictability ultimately guides me toward a more fulfilling, balanced approach to living. Which problem in the world today do I feel most called to address? There are occasions when I reflect on the state of the world and feel a stirring of purpose, compelling me to consider which pressing issue resonates most deeply with my values and abilities. This reflective process is not merely an intellectual exercise. It is driven by an emotional urgency that surfaces in everyday conversations, news headlines, and personal interactions, urging me to contribute to a cause greater than myself. I recognize that among the myriad challenges facing society, be it climate change, inequality, or social injustice, there is one problem that seems to align with my own experiences and aspirations, offering a tangible way for me to make a meaningful impact. For example, I may find that the struggle for environmental sustainability speaks to my deep connection with nature and my concern for future generations, motivating me to advocate for greener policies and participate in local conservation efforts. This internal call is a blend of personal conviction and the recognition that collective action is required to tackle complex issues. In group decisions, the shared commitment to addressing a specific problem can unify diverse perspectives and mobilize a community around common goals, transforming individual passion into impactful action. The paradox lies in the realization that while no single person can solve a global problem alone, every small effort contributes to a larger movement, creating a ripple effect that inspires broader change. Ultimately, identifying the problem that calls to me is about aligning my strengths with the needs of the world and using my voice and energy to help forge a better future. This clarity of purpose not only enriches my personal journey but also empowers group decisions, fostering a sense of unity and shared responsibility that is essential for meaningful progress. What makes certain memories linger longer than others? I sometimes find myself pondering why some memories, whether of joy or sorrow, persist vividly in my mind while others fade away into the background of daily life, prompting a deeper exploration of the factors that make certain experiences unforgettable. The phenomenon is not merely a quirk of time but appears to be linked to the intensity of the emotions involved and the significance those moments hold in shaping my identity. Everyday instances, such as a spontaneous act of kindness or a challenging experience that taught me a hard-earned lesson, often stand out in sharp detail, serving as milestones that influence future choices and attitudes. The paradox here is that while time has a way of softening even the most painful events, it sometimes magnifies moments of high emotional resonance, preserving them with a clarity that can both comfort and haunt. This retention is evident when I revisit memories that carry a powerful blend of emotion and meaning, whether it's the warmth of a celebration or the sting of a lost opportunity, and realize that these recollections have a profound impact on how I view the world and myself. In group settings, shared memories often serve as the glue that binds communities together, with collective recollections of triumphs and struggles influencing group identity and decision-making. The key insight is that the durability of memories is not random but is shaped by the depth of the experiences and the lessons they impart, acting as a guide for future behavior and a reminder of what truly matters. Understanding why some memories linger allows me to appreciate the complexity of my past and to honor both the joyful and painful moments as integral parts of my personal narrative. In doing so, I can better navigate the present and contribute to group decisions that value both historical insight and future potential. How can I nurture a sense of wonder in daily life? Occasionally, I pause and ask myself what it would take to recapture that childlike awe that makes even the simplest moments seem magical, a curiosity that often fades under the weight of routine. The drive to nurture wonder is more than just a longing for novelty. It is about cultivating an openness to new experiences and a genuine appreciation for the unexpected beauty in everyday encounters. Daily, I observe that small acts, like exploring a new corner of my neighborhood, engaging in spontaneous conversations, or simply taking time to savor the taste of a meal, can spark a sense of marvel that reinvigorates my outlook. There is a delicate balance between maintaining a schedule and allowing oneself the freedom to wander into the unknown, a balance that transforms ordinary days into opportunities for discovery and growth. In social or work settings, fostering a sense of wonder can lead to innovative thinking and creative problem-solving, as each fresh perspective adds a new layer of insight to group projects and discussions. The paradox is that while the practical demands of life often encourage efficiency and routine, making room for wonder can inspire breakthrough ideas and meaningful connections. I have learned that nurturing this sense of curiosity involves both intentional practices, such as setting aside time for hobbies and reflection, and the willingness to embrace spontaneity, even when it disrupts the predictable flow of the day. The takeaway is that by inviting wonder into daily life, I enrich my experiences and create a more vibrant, dynamic environment for both personal fulfillment and collective progress. In this way, the act of nurturing curiosity not only brightens my own path but also enhances the quality of the decisions made within my community. Do my actions reflect my highest principles, or do I let them slide? There are moments when I critically assess whether the choices I make truly mirror the core values I claim to hold dear, or if, under pressure or convenience, I allow my actions to stray from those ideals. This self-examination is not an easy process, as it involves confronting the discrepancies between my aspirations and the realities of daily behavior, and recognizing that even small lapses can accumulate over time. In daily life, I encounter situations where a decision made in haste or for personal gain later reveals a misalignment with my deepest principles, whether it is in the form of an unspoken compromise in a relationship, a shortcut taken at work, or even a moment of indifference towards someone in need. The paradox lies in the tension between the ideal self I strive to be and the imperfect, sometimes self-serving actions that arise in challenging circumstances. When I reflect on these moments, I notice that true integrity demands a constant, conscious effort to align my actions with my values, a process that often requires vulnerability and accountability. In group decisions, the impact of this alignment becomes even more significant. When individuals consistently act in accordance with their highest principles, the collective outcome is marked by trust, fairness, and mutual respect. The challenge is to acknowledge that perfection is unattainable, yet striving for consistency in our actions can drive meaningful change over time. The key insight is that every decision, no matter how small, serves as an opportunity to reaffirm my commitment to my principles and to learn from instances where I fell short. Embracing this ongoing journey of self-improvement not only strengthens my personal integrity but also contributes to a culture of ethical decision-making within any community, where each member's dedication to their values enriches the collective conscience. If I met myself 10 years ago, what would that past me say? Reflecting on the evolution of my life, I often wonder what advice or insights I would share with the person I once was, recognizing that the passage of time has altered both my circumstances and my perspective in profound ways. Recalling past decisions and mistakes invites a dialogue with that younger version of myself, where I might highlight the lessons learned and the resilience developed through challenges that once seemed insurmountable. I have noticed that the person I was a decade ago likely held ideals and ambitions that have since been refined by experience, and comparing these stages reveals both continuity and change in my core identity. In everyday situations, I observe that the wisdom gained from hard-fought battles or unexpected detours has provided clarity on what truly matters, transforming naive hopes into more nuanced aspirations. The paradox is that while the past is filled with moments that once defined me, it also serves as a foundation upon which I continue to build a more mature and authentic self. In group settings, this reflective process can encourage collective growth as individuals share their own journeys of change and the insights that have shaped their decision-making over time. The essence of this introspection is not to dwell in nostalgia or regret, but to recognize that every step, both missteps and triumphs, contributes to who I am today. The key takeaway is that speaking to my past self would likely involve affirmations of growth, calls to maintain curiosity, and reminders to cherish every lesson learned along the way. Embracing this inner dialogue not only reinforces personal evolution but also inspires a broader culture of continuous learning and empathy in collective decision-making, where past experiences inform a wiser, more inclusive future. What motivates me to pursue lifelong learning? When I consider the reasons behind my enduring quest for knowledge, I realize that the drive to learn is fueled by both an insatiable curiosity and the desire to adapt to an ever-changing world. The pursuit of lifelong learning is not merely an academic or professional endeavor. It is a personal journey that enriches every aspect of my life, offering fresh perspectives and fostering personal growth. Daily, I encounter situations that challenge my current understanding, whether it's a conversation that opens my eyes to new ideas or a setback that demands creative problem-solving. And these experiences remind me that knowledge is a powerful tool for transformation. The paradox lies in the recognition that while accumulating information is valuable, the real magic happens when I apply that learning to improve my life and the lives of those around me. In practical terms, this motivation manifests in habits like reading widely, engaging in thoughtful discussions, and seeking out new experiences that push me beyond my comfort zone. In group settings, the spirit of lifelong learning can serve as a catalyst for innovation, encouraging diverse viewpoints and fostering an environment where every member's insight contributes to collective progress. The challenge is to balance the pursuit of knowledge with the wisdom to know when to act, ensuring that learning serves as a foundation for meaningful change rather than an endless quest for perfection. The essential lesson is that the motivation to keep learning stems from the belief that growth is a continuous process, one that not only deepens my understanding of the world but also enhances my capacity to contribute positively to my community. Embracing this drive enriches both my personal journey and the collaborative efforts that shape a more informed, dynamic future. How can I develop more patience with myself and with others? Sometimes the rush of modern life and the pressure to achieve quick results leave me feeling frustrated, prompting me to seek ways to cultivate greater patience both for my own shortcomings and in my interactions with others. The challenge of developing patience is a daily one, as I encounter situations where immediate expectations clash with the slower pace of genuine progress, whether in learning new skills, building relationships, or resolving conflicts. I recognize that impatience often stems from a desire for instant gratification and the fear that delays may indicate failure. Yet I have also learned that growth and change typically unfold over time, requiring a steady, nurturing approach. In everyday practice, I work on this by setting realistic goals, embracing moments of uncertainty as opportunities for reflection, and reminding myself that every step, however small, contributes to a larger journey of improvement. When dealing with others, I strive to extend the same compassion I wish to receive, understanding that everyone is navigating their own challenges and that mistakes are part of the learning process. This balance of self-compassion and understanding in relationships fosters an environment where trust and collaboration can thrive, particularly in group decisions where varied timelines and expectations must harmonize. The paradox is that while society often rewards rapid achievements, the most profound changes come from sustained, patient effort, a truth that both challenges and enriches my daily experience. The key takeaway is that cultivating patience is not about passivity or complacency, but about actively embracing the pace of growth, acknowledging that time is a critical ingredient in the recipe for lasting success and meaningful connections. By developing patience, I nurture a more resilient, empathetic approach to life that benefits not only myself but also the communities and groups with which I interact. How do I define or understand the concept of truth? Sometimes the quest to grasp truth leads me to examine not only facts but also the personal lens through which I interpret life's events. I see truth as an evolving tapestry woven from objective realities and the nuances of individual experience. Every day, I encounter moments that challenge my previously held beliefs, small interactions or unexpected outcomes that compel me to reconsider what I accept as absolute. There are times when a decision that once seemed straightforward turns complex after additional information comes to light, reminding me that truth is rarely static. In this ongoing process, truth becomes a conversation between what is observable and what is deeply felt, a balance of evidence and intuition. For example, a news story may present clear facts, yet the underlying human experience behind it can reveal layers that numbers alone cannot capture. Such moments make me appreciate that truth is not about rigid certainties. It is a fluid dialogue shaped by context, emotion, and time. When shared in a community, these diverse perspectives on truth enrich group decisions, as they offer multiple angles that lead to more inclusive outcomes. Recognizing that truth can be both personal and collective helps me stay open to revising my viewpoints and fosters a culture of honest discussion. The key insight is that rather than seeking a final, unchanging answer, embracing the journey of understanding truth allows me to learn continuously and to contribute thoughtfully to group decisions that benefit from varied interpretations. In this way, truth is not merely a set of facts to be memorized but a living, dynamic process that grows with every conversation and every new experience. Is my identity more static or always evolving? At times, I reflect on whether the person I am today is a fixed version of my past self or a constantly shifting mosaic that adapts with every experience. My identity seems to consist of enduring core values, yet it is also molded by new insights, relationships, and challenges encountered along the way. Everyday experiences, whether a small setback or a significant triumph, subtly reshape the way I understand who I am. The tension emerges when the familiar self meets the unknown aspects brought forth by life's unpredictable moments. I recall instances when a choice made years ago, once taken for granted, now appears in a different light as I grow and learn. This evolving process does not mean that I discard what I once believed. Instead, I integrate old lessons with new wisdom, creating a richer self-concept. In group settings, the fluid nature of individual identity adds depth to collective decision-making, as each person's ongoing evolution contributes fresh perspectives and fosters empathy. The paradox is that while stability offers comfort and a sense of belonging, continuous change fuels personal growth and innovation. Embracing both the constants and the changes within me has allowed a more balanced view of identity, one that honors tradition while remaining open to transformation. The key takeaway is that identity is not a fixed label but a dynamic journey where each step, whether familiar or new, plays a role in shaping a resilient, multidimensional self that can adapt and thrive within a community. If I could witness any event in history, what would it be and why? There are moments when I find myself contemplating which historical event holds the most profound lessons for understanding the human condition and shaping a better future. Rather than seeking merely the spectacle of dramatic change, I lean toward events that illustrate resilience, justice, and the transformative power of collective action. My choice would focus on an event where ordinary people, against overwhelming odds, united to overturn injustice or spark groundbreaking change, a moment that encapsulates hope emerging from adversity. In everyday life, I observe that the lessons drawn from history often mirror the challenges we face today. The courage of past heroes, the struggles for equality, or the triumphs over oppression can offer guidance when confronted with modern dilemmas. This reflective process helps me appreciate that even small acts of bravery can ripple outwards to create lasting impact. When groups come together to deliberate on shared goals, historical precedents serve as powerful reminders of what is possible when commitment and unity prevail. The paradox lies in the idea that while history is filled with countless events, one moment can encapsulate a vast spectrum of human experience, from despair to hope, illuminating the path for future generations. By witnessing such a defining event, I would hope to absorb its lessons and carry that spirit forward into my own decisions, both personal and collective. Ultimately, this inquiry reinforces that understanding our past is essential not only for honoring those who came before us, but also for inspiring the actions we take today in pursuit of a more just and compassionate world. In what ways does love reveal itself in ordinary moments? Every day, subtle signs of love emerge in the routine interactions that fill my life, challenging the notion that love is reserved only for dramatic declarations or grand gestures. Simple acts, a kind word during a hectic day, a shared laugh over a small mishap, or even a quiet moment of mutual understanding, can speak volumes about the depth of connection between people. These everyday expressions of care build the foundation of relationships, reinforcing bonds in a way that is both natural and powerful. I have observed that when stress or routine threatens to dull the brightness of life, these small moments of love act as gentle reminders of what truly matters, offering solace and strength. In my interactions with family, friends, and colleagues, the consistent, understated presence of love often carries more significance than rare, extravagant displays. This phenomenon is also evident in group settings, where a shared sense of compassion can unify diverse opinions and lead to decisions that benefit the entire community. The paradox here is that while society may idolize the spectacular and the exceptional, it is in the mundane where love often finds its most authentic expression. These quiet moments not only nurture individual well-being but also contribute to a collective spirit of support and resilience. The takeaway is that recognizing and cherishing these instances of everyday love enriches my personal life and strengthens the bonds that hold communities together, reminding me that true affection is woven into the fabric of daily living. How do I stay true to myself when outside forces pressure me to change? Sometimes, the influence of society, peer expectations, and even media narratives can make me question whether my actions align with who I truly am, prompting a deep introspection about authenticity. Balancing personal integrity with external pressures is a delicate act, as the desire to belong can conflict with the need to honor my inner values. I often encounter situations where conforming seems easier than asserting a different, perhaps unpopular, viewpoint, yet the cost of losing one's individuality can be profound. In everyday choices, whether deciding on a career path, engaging in creative endeavors, or even the way I dress, I notice that small compromises accumulate, sometimes blurring the line between genuine self-expression and adaptation to external norms. This struggle becomes even more evident in group decision-making, where the pull of consensus can sometimes overshadow unique contributions. I have learned that staying true to myself requires conscious effort, regular self-reflection, and the courage to voice opinions even when they diverge from the majority. It is a journey of maintaining inner balance by setting personal boundaries, seeking environments that nurture individuality, and embracing the discomfort that may come from standing apart. The paradox is that while change is inevitable and often beneficial, Losing sight of who I am in the process can leave me feeling hollow. The key insight is that authenticity is not a static state but a continuous commitment to aligning actions with core beliefs, even amidst external noise. Embracing this challenge not only strengthens my personal resolve but also enriches group decisions by ensuring that diverse, genuine perspectives contribute to a more dynamic and resilient community. How has my definition of success changed since childhood? Reflecting on the evolution of my goals and dreams over the years, I recognize that the simple markers of success I once cherished have transformed into a more complex, nuanced understanding of fulfillment. In childhood, success often meant achieving clear milestones like winning a game or earning praise from teachers, which felt tangible and immediate. However, as I have grown older, I've come to see that true success encompasses more than just external achievements. It includes personal growth, resilience, and the quality of relationships I build along the way. Daily experiences, such as overcoming challenges at work or navigating personal setbacks, have reshaped my perspective, teaching me that setbacks are valuable learning opportunities rather than mere failures. This shift in understanding has allowed me to appreciate the journey rather than fixating solely on the destination, and it has fostered a deeper sense of self-worth that is not dependent on constant accolades. In group settings, this broader vision of success often encourages collaboration and a focus on sustainable progress, where the collective effort is valued over individual triumphs. The paradox lies in the realization that while society frequently celebrates concrete achievements, the most meaningful successes often come from the quiet moments of perseverance and self-discovery that go unnoticed. Embracing this evolving definition of success has not only enriched my personal life but also helped me support others in their own journeys, fostering an environment where growth, learning, and compassion are prioritized. Ultimately, redefining success in this way offers a more inclusive and fulfilling roadmap for living, one that balances ambition with gratitude and inspires a community of continuous improvement. What would I regret not doing if I never got the chance? There are moments when a deep sense of urgency arises, prompting me to reflect on the opportunities one might miss if I do not act now. This introspection forces me to confront the fear of regret, a haunting possibility that the chances to pursue my dreams, explore new horizons, or mend important relationships may slip away unnoticed. In daily life, I sometimes encounter fleeting opportunities that, if ignored, could leave a lasting void, whether it is a chance to travel to a new place, start a creative project, or simply express love to someone dear. The potential for future remorse often nudges me toward decisive action. The conflict lies in balancing caution with courage, as the comfort of routine sometimes competes with the excitement of taking a risk. I have observed that moments of hesitation, although sometimes rational, can later transform into poignant regrets, teaching me that even imperfect decisions are preferable to perpetual uncertainty. In a group context, the collective willingness to seize opportunities often leads to transformative outcomes, as shared experiences build a legacy of bold choices and meaningful progress. The paradox is that while fear of failure can be paralyzing, the possibility of regret serves as a powerful motivator, urging me to live more fully and authentically. The key insight is that life's fleeting nature demands that I prioritize what truly matters, making room for both planned ambitions and spontaneous acts of bravery. Embracing this mindset helps me overcome the inertia of indecision, ensuring that I engage with life's challenges head-on and minimize the chances of looking back with remorse. Ultimately, by confronting the possibility of regret, I empower myself to pursue experiences that enrich my life and contribute to a legacy of bold, decisive actions, both individually and within the community. Is it possible to truly know myself completely? Occasionally, I wrestle with the profound question of whether complete self-knowledge is attainable, given the ever-changing landscape of experiences and emotions that continuously shape who I am. This introspection delves deeper than surface-level traits, probing the intricate layers of identity that evolve with every new encounter and every moment of introspection. Daily, I discover facets of my personality that surprise me, sometimes through unexpected reactions in challenging situations, or through insights gained during quiet reflection, suggesting that the process of knowing oneself is an ongoing journey rather than a fixed destination. I find that the more I learn about my desires, fears, and motivations, the more I uncover nuances that hint at hidden aspects of my character. In group discussions, this evolving self-awareness enriches our collective understanding, as diverse perspectives contribute to a fuller picture of what it means to be human. The paradox lies in the notion that while self-knowledge can provide clarity and direction, the constant flux of life ensures that no one can claim to understand every part of themselves completely. This realization is not discouraging. Instead, it is a reminder that personal growth is about embracing complexity and accepting that some mysteries of the self may remain unresolved. In practical terms, striving for self-awareness means being open to change, welcoming feedback from others, and continuously engaging in reflection without the expectation of reaching a final, unchanging conclusion. The key takeaway is that the quest for self-knowledge is a lifelong process, one that nurtures resilience and adaptability while enriching both personal and group decision-making through a deeper, shared understanding of our evolving identities. Do I believe in fate, coincidence, or a blend of both? Events occur in life that seem to defy random explanation, prompting me to question whether there is a guiding force at work or if everything is simply the result of chance interactions. This contemplation arises during moments when unexpected opportunities or setbacks converge in a way that feels too precise to be merely accidental. I have observed that, sometimes, life's twists and turns carry a sense of predestination, a subtle indication that certain outcomes were meant to happen, while at other moments, the randomness of events reminds me of the unpredictable nature of existence. Daily experiences, from serendipitous encounters to unforeseen challenges, lead me to consider that perhaps neither fate nor pure coincidence holds the entire truth, but rather a blend of both. In group settings, this perspective can influence how we approach decisions, as shared beliefs in destiny or chance may shape the collective mindset and strategy. The paradox here is that while an unwavering belief in fate can sometimes foster a sense of security and purpose, it may also diminish the value of personal effort, whereas attributing everything to randomness might undermine the recognition of patterns and meaningful connections. Balancing these views allows me to appreciate the complexity of life, where preparation meets opportunity in unpredictable ways, and where both destiny and chance play roles in shaping outcomes. The key insight is that acknowledging a blend of fate and coincidence empowers me to embrace uncertainty while also taking active steps toward my goals, fostering a balanced outlook that enhances both personal resilience and collaborative decision-making. This nuanced understanding encourages a proactive yet reflective approach to life, recognizing that every moment has the potential to be both a random occurrence and part of a larger, meaningful pattern. How can I cultivate greater peace, regardless of life's chaos? There are times when the clamor of daily challenges leaves me yearning for a steady inner calm that remains unshaken by external turmoil. Seeking this deep sense of peace involves recognizing that life's unpredictability does not have to dictate my emotional well-being, and that cultivating serenity is a choice I can make every day. I have discovered that simple practices, such as setting aside time for mindful breathing, engaging in reflective journaling, or even taking quiet walks in nature, can provide a counterbalance to stress and uncertainty. These habits serve as anchors, offering brief but meaningful escapes from the rush of responsibilities and unforeseen obstacles. While chaos may be an inevitable part of the world around me, I find that focusing on small moments of stillness and gratitude can gradually transform my overall outlook, making me more resilient and centered. In my interactions, whether with friends or during group discussions, maintaining a calm presence often helps diffuse tension and fosters a more cooperative atmosphere. The challenge lies in consistently integrating these practices into my routine, especially when the demands of life push for immediate action and quick fixes. The paradox is that true peace does not come from controlling external circumstances, but from cultivating an internal sanctuary that remains steadfast despite the storms outside. The key takeaway is that by prioritizing inner calm through deliberate, mindful practices, I can navigate life's chaos with greater clarity and empathy, ultimately contributing to a more harmonious and effective collective environment. Embracing this approach allows me to transform stress into an opportunity for growth, enriching both my personal well-being and the quality of shared decisions within my community. What am I most afraid of discovering about myself? Sometimes, a quiet moment in the midst of daily routines leads me to confront a deeply personal question. What hidden truth about myself might I be too scared to face? I wrestle with the possibility that beneath the surface of my confident exterior, there could be aspects of my personality or past experiences that challenge the image I've carefully built over the years. At work or during casual conversations, I often catch myself sidestepping topics that might force me to reveal vulnerabilities I'd rather keep hidden. This fear isn't about weakness, but about the uncertainty of what I might learn if I dared to look deeper. Could there be unresolved pain, unacknowledged dreams, or parts of my identity that no longer serve me? In everyday life, I notice that these hidden parts sometimes influence my decisions in subtle ways, steering me away from risks or opportunities simply because I worry about what they might reveal. The paradox lies in the fact that while self-discovery promises growth and healing, it also risks unearthing uncomfortable truths that may disrupt the stability I rely on. Conversations with trusted friends and moments of introspection have taught me that avoiding these questions only limits my capacity to change for the better. In group settings, this personal struggle mirrors the challenges of collective self-awareness, where honest dialogue can be stifled by the fear of revealing too much. Over time, I've come to understand that facing these hidden parts is less about exposing flaws and more about embracing a fuller, more authentic version of myself, even if that version is imperfect. The key takeaway is that the journey towards self-understanding requires courage to face what scares us most. By doing so, we lay the groundwork for genuine growth and deeper connections with others. Accepting this possibility can ultimately transform fear into an opportunity for liberation and self-compassion, enriching both individual lives and the way we engage in group decisions where honesty and vulnerability become sources of collective strength. Is there a part of me that I hide to avoid vulnerability? At times, a reflective pause in the middle of a busy day makes me wonder if there are aspects of myself that I deliberately keep hidden from others to protect my inner world. I've noticed that when faced with emotionally charged situations or difficult conversations, there's a tendency to put up a guarded front, as if certain parts of my personality are too fragile to expose. This self-imposed barrier often manifests in subtle ways: a reluctance to share personal stories, a quick change of subject when emotions run high, or even the choice to wear a mask of cheerfulness during tough times. The underlying fear is that revealing these hidden layers might lead to judgment, rejection, or even self-disappointment if I come to terms with parts of my past or personality that I've long denied. Daily encounters, whether in one-on-one interactions or in group discussions, sometimes trigger this defense mechanism, and I find myself wondering if the cost of protection is too high when it comes to building genuine relationships. The paradox is that by sheltering these vulnerable parts, I might miss out on the richness of authentic connections that are built on mutual understanding and empathy. Friends and colleagues often comment on the ease with which others open up, and I recognize that my own reticence might be keeping me from experiencing deeper levels of support and love. Over time, I've learned that vulnerability is not synonymous with weakness but is a vital component of growth and connection. In group decision-making, for example, the willingness of members to share their true thoughts often leads to more innovative and compassionate outcomes. The essential insight is that embracing vulnerability can dismantle self-imposed barriers, fostering trust both within myself and with others. Recognizing and gradually sharing these hidden parts can transform not only my personal relationships but also the collective spirit of any community, where openness is the key to lasting, supportive bonds. Would I recognize true wisdom if I encountered it? Sometimes, in the midst of everyday challenges and conversations, I pause to question whether I have the clarity and openness needed to identify wisdom when it presents itself. The idea of true wisdom feels elusive, as if it's hidden in subtle insights or quiet moments of understanding that might easily pass unnoticed amid the noise of daily life. I often reflect on times when advice or a small nugget of insight resonated deeply with me, words that seemed to cut through confusion and guide me toward a better path. Yet, I also worry that in my busy routine, I might overlook these precious moments because I am too caught up in routine or too quick to judge unconventional ideas. This inner debate becomes especially apparent during discussions where many voices speak at once, and the one that holds genuine understanding may be drowned out by louder opinions or surface-level comments. The challenge is to develop a sensitivity that allows me to discern the difference between clever remarks and profound truth, a task that requires both self-awareness and a willingness to listen deeply, even when the message is unexpected. In practical terms, I've noticed that those who seem to embody true wisdom often speak with a quiet assurance and an understanding that goes beyond simple logic, touching on the heart of human experience. In group settings, this quality can transform decision-making processes, as thoughtful contributions lead to outcomes that are both balanced and humane. The paradox is that while wisdom is often admired and sought after, its recognition demands a level of humility and introspection that I sometimes struggle to maintain. The key takeaway is that true wisdom isn't always announced with grand gestures. It may arrive quietly, challenging me to be more reflective and open-minded. By learning to recognize and value these moments, I can enrich my personal journey and help foster a more thoughtful, informed collective approach to the decisions we make together. What do my daydreams reveal about my deepest desires? Occasionally, I find my mind drifting away during quiet moments, and I start to wonder what these spontaneous daydreams might be telling me about my core aspirations and hidden wishes. These fleeting mental escapes are more than just idle thoughts. They often carry hints of what truly matters to me, reflecting dreams and desires that I might not consciously acknowledge. Whether it's envisioning a life filled with adventure, creativity, or deeper relationships, these daydreams sometimes reveal a longing for change or a pursuit of passions that I have set aside in the rush of daily obligations. In my routine interactions and work tasks, I notice that these brief moments of fantasy can serve as a gentle reminder that there is more to life than what is immediately visible, a call to listen to the softer, inner voice that speaks of untapped potential and unexplored opportunities. The challenge is that while daydreams can be inspiring, they are also easily dismissed as mere distractions, causing me to overlook the possibility that they might be guiding me toward a more authentic version of myself. In group settings, this phenomenon is equally significant, as shared creative visions often emerge from the quiet, individual reflections of each member, contributing to a richer, more innovative collective goal. The paradox here is that although daydreams seem trivial in the moment, they can carry a depth of meaning that, defeated, might lead to profound personal growth and transformation. The key insight is to pay closer attention to these inner narratives, to explore what they might suggest about my deepest desires, and to consider how I can integrate these insights into my real-world decisions. In doing so, I not only honor my personal aspirations but also contribute to a more vibrant and visionary community. Is humility something I genuinely value in myself and others? Every now and then, I reflect on the role of humility in my life and wonder whether I truly embody this quality, as well as how much I appreciate it in the people around me. Humility, in my view, goes beyond modesty. It is about being open to learning from every experience and recognizing that no one holds all the answers. In my day-to-day interactions, I notice that moments of genuine humility often manifest in simple actions, such as acknowledging a mistake, listening carefully to others' perspectives, or offering help without expecting praise. Yet, I sometimes struggle with the temptation to cling to pride or to assert my ideas too forcefully, especially in competitive environments or during heated discussions. This internal conflict makes me question whether I'm living up to the standard of humility I admire so much in others, and whether I value it enough in myself. In group decision-making, Humility can be a powerful force that fosters collaboration and openness. When individuals are willing to admit when they are wrong or to consider alternative viewpoints, the entire process benefits from a richer diversity of ideas and a more balanced outcome. The paradox lies in the fact that while humility is often praised as a virtue, it is not always the easiest quality to practice consistently, especially when the pressure to perform or succeed is high. The key takeaway is that true humility involves a continuous effort to be honest about one's limitations, to value the contributions of others, and to remain open to growth. Recognizing the importance of humility in both personal development and in collective endeavors encourages me to strive for a balance between self-confidence and modesty, ultimately enriching my interactions and strengthening the bonds within any community I am part of. If life is a story, what kind of story am I writing? Every so often, I pause during the quiet hours of the day and reflect on the narrative unfolding through my choices, questioning what kind of story my life is becoming. This isn't about dramatic plot twists or heroic deeds alone, but about the everyday chapters that weave together to form a larger, meaningful narrative. I've come to realize that every decision, whether a bold leap or a cautious step, contributes to the overall character of my story, revealing themes of resilience, challenge, and hope that define who I am. Sometimes, I notice that the moments I cherish most are not the grand achievements, but the quiet instances of authenticity, where I stayed true to myself despite obstacles or where I found beauty in the mundane. In discussions with friends and colleagues, the metaphor of life as a story often sparks conversations about personal growth and the importance of learning from both failures and successes. The paradox here is that while I might dream of a narrative filled with excitement and triumph, the true richness of my life lies in its imperfections and the lessons learned along the way. Group decisions, too, can be seen as collaborative storytelling, where each person's unique contribution adds depth and nuance to a collective narrative. The key insight is that the story I write is not fixed, it evolves with each new experience, each chapter reflecting a blend of past influences and future aspirations. By embracing this fluid narrative, I remind myself that I have the power to shape my story, to revise its course with intention and purpose, and to create a legacy that is both authentic and inspiring. In the end, the story of my life is a tapestry of choices, challenges, and quiet victories that together define a journey worth sharing. What would I regret not doing if I never got the chance? At moments when life feels both abundant and fleeting, I sometimes confront the pressing question of which experiences or opportunities one might later regret never having pursued. This thought stirs a mix of urgency and introspection, as I weigh the risks and rewards of stepping beyond the familiar versus staying comfortably within my routine. In everyday life, this reflection emerges when I face choices that seem small at the moment. A spontaneous trip, a new hobby, or even a heartfelt conversation, and wonder if postponing these chances might eventually lead to lasting regret. I recall instances when friends have shared stories of missed opportunities, and I realize that even the most modest experiences can become defining moments in hindsight. The tension lies in balancing caution with the courage to embrace uncertainty, recognizing that the fear of failure or the unknown often stands in the way of pursuing what could truly enrich my life. In group settings, this awareness can inspire collective boldness, encouraging communities to seize opportunities that might otherwise be overlooked in favor of the status quo. The paradox is that while the idea of regret can be a heavy burden, it can also serve as a powerful motivator to live more fully and intentionally. The key takeaway is that life's impermanence calls for a mindful evaluation of what matters most, prompting me to take action on dreams and desires before they fade into what might have been. Accepting that regret is a natural part of the human experience, I learned to use it as a guide for making choices that align with my values and aspirations. Ultimately, by embracing the possibility of regret as a reminder to live courageously, I can transform hesitation into opportunities for growth, ensuring that both my personal journey and the decisions made within my community are marked by bold, meaningful actions. Is it possible to truly know myself completely? Every so often, I wrestle with the idea that my inner self might be an ever-shifting puzzle, with pieces that change as I encounter new experiences, challenges, and emotions. The concept of knowing oneself completely is both alluring and intimidating because it promises clarity yet acknowledges the complexity of being human. Daily, I uncover new aspects of my personality through unexpected reactions or insights that challenge my previously held beliefs, suggesting that self-knowledge is a continuous journey rather than a final destination. In my personal interactions, I sometimes wonder if the image I have of myself is just a snapshot that quickly becomes outdated as I grow and learn. This ongoing process of self-discovery often feels like peeling back layers, each revealing further depth and nuance. In group contexts, the idea of complete self-knowledge is similarly complex, as each person brings an evolving identity that influences collective decisions and shared understandings. The paradox here is that while striving for complete self-knowledge seems like an ideal path to authenticity and wisdom, the inherent change and unpredictability of life mean that some mysteries about myself might always remain unresolved. Recognizing this can be liberating, as it allows me to accept that growth is continuous and that uncertainty about parts of myself is natural. The key takeaway is that the pursuit of self-knowledge enriches my life, even if the journey never reaches a definitive end. Embracing this perpetual state of learning fosters humility and openness, enabling me to make better decisions individually and to contribute to group efforts with a deeper, more empathetic understanding of the human experience. Do I believe in fate, coincidence, or a blend of both? There are times when the seemingly random events of my life prompt a deeper inquiry into whether a guiding force is at play or if life is simply a series of coincidences that come together by chance. This question often arises during moments when outcomes defy logical explanation, a fortuitous encounter, an unexpected opportunity, or even a series of setbacks that strangely lead to a breakthrough. I find that I oscillate between feeling that certain events were meant to be and recognizing the randomness inherent in everyday life. In my personal experiences, I have encountered situations where planning meets serendipity, suggesting that while some moments are orchestrated by a hidden design, others are pure accidents that nevertheless shape my path in meaningful ways. In group decision-making, this blend of fate and chance often influences how we perceive risk and opportunity, with some members attributing success to destiny while others emphasize hard work and luck. The paradox lies in trying to balance the comfort of believing in a predetermined plan with the empowerment that comes from acknowledging the role of chance and personal effort. Ultimately, this reflection challenges me to accept that life's outcomes may be influenced by both cosmic design and random chance, and that acknowledging this blend can foster a more flexible, resilient mindset. The key insight is that whether fate or coincidence guides our journey, what matters most is how we respond to the twists and turns along the way. Embracing this dual perspective not only enriches my personal approach to life but also encourages more adaptive, forward-thinking decisions in group settings, where the interplay of planning and spontaneity can lead to creative, unexpected solutions. How can I cultivate greater peace, regardless of life's chaos? There are moments when the overwhelming pace and unpredictability of the world leave me searching for a calm center that remains unaffected by external turbulence. In my day-to-day life, challenges and uncertainties often collide, from tight work deadlines to unexpected personal setbacks, yet I strive to build an inner sanctuary of peace that I can return to no matter what unfolds. I've learned that cultivating peace involves a mix of mindful practices, such as regular reflection, deliberate pauses during hectic moments, and the conscious choice to focus on gratitude even amid chaos. In conversations with friends and in team environments, a calm demeanor can help diffuse tension and foster an atmosphere where thoughtful solutions emerge. The paradox is that while the world around me may be in constant flux, true peace is not found by controlling external circumstances but by nurturing a resilient state of mind that accepts life's imperfections. Daily habits, whether a quiet morning routine, a walk in nature, or moments spent in quiet contemplation, act as anchors, helping me navigate stress with clarity and compassion. This inner calm gradually becomes a resource that influences how I interact with others, guiding group decisions toward balanced, empathetic outcomes. The insight is that cultivating peace is a continuous practice, one that transforms stressful situations into opportunities for personal growth and collective harmony. By committing to these practices, I can create a stable, serene foundation that supports not only my well-being but also the well-being of those around me. Ultimately, nurturing this inner peace empowers me to face life's chaos with a steady heart, contributing to a more mindful, united, and resilient community.